Chapter 951. Although the immortal emperors were millions of miles away from the sky, they were still trembling under the pressure of the purple light. The purple willpower kept coming out from the immortal gate. Under the influence of that willpower, there was only one color left in the world. Purple. 1 billion purple stars appeared in the purple sky one by one. Bathed in the starlight, a slightly illusory giant figure as tall as the sky appeared outside the immortal gate. The giant figure was wearing a purple robe and stood with his hands behind his back. No one could see his face clearly, but he had an indescribable elegance. He stood there as if he was above all the Tao laws in the world, as if he could reverse the flow of reincarnation in the world with just a thought. It was as if wherever he stepped on was the earth and he was the sky. In front of this giant figure in purple, even the powerful first-level demisages like the ancient Emperor of Heaven and the true Dragon Clan felt small and insignificant. Some of the weaker immortal emperors couldn't even stand in front of this purple figure and involuntarily knelt down. This is. The immortal emperors were shocked. That immortal gate couldn't be wrong. It was the purpose of their trip, the ancient passage. That purple figure, that aura, that supreme might couldn't be wrong. It was exactly the same as what was recorded in the scrolls of the major forces. Could it be that was the shadow of immortal Emperor Zido? Mo summoned the shadow of the immortal emperor to help. The immortal emperors couldn't see the appearance of the figure in purple because their cultivation was too low. The strange eyeball tried his best but could barely see the appearance of the person in purple. It was clearly the same as Mo and not the appearance of immortal Emperor Zido. I see. Although this purple figure had a part of the pressure of Zido, it was just an illusion. This wasn't the real shadow of the immortal emperor. Mo must have used some tricks to plunder part of Zido's immortal power from the immortal gate to cultivate such a fake purple figure. The strange eyeball heaved a sigh of relief. If it was the real shadow of Zido, even if it was just an illusion, it could also suppress a sage with a raise of its hand. There was absolutely no chance of winning. Fortunately, it was just an illusion. Could still fight. You have the heaven-opening weapon. But I have the immortal gate. You can defeat me. However, the purple shadow suddenly raised his right hand and his index finger swept across the sky. Purple smoke suddenly swept in all directions. His index finger pressed down towards the heavens and the earth. It was a simple action, but it seemed like it could crush the heavens and the earth and destroy all living things with a single finger. Some immortal emperors with weaker cultivations directly coughed out blood from the pressure of this finger. Their expressions changed drastically. Even the ancient heavenly emperor and the true Dragon Clan leader gasped. Under the power of this finger, they felt the danger of certain death. He would die. If a first-level quasi-sage were to go against this finger, he would definitely die. Even a second or third-level quasi-sage would not be able to withstand the crushing power of this finger. The might of the finger spread throughout the wildlands, and all of the low-level cultivators, human and demon alike, felt like they were on the brink of destruction. It was as if this finger could destroy the entire wildlands with a single finger. How could there be such a terrifying ability in this world? I didn't expect that even a fake illusion would have such power. But a fake is a fake, it can never become real. Watch how I break your divine ability. The eyeball monster roared and controlled the golden armored giant to crash toward Mo. Mo hurriedly activated his divine ability. The purple shadow immediately pressed the finger down on the golden armored giant, blocking the momentum of the golden armored giant's charge. The heavens and the earth suddenly darkened. A finger shadow that covered the sky blocked all the light, and as if it had descended from countless years ago, it pressed down fiercely. The power of the finger shadow was too strong. Just the purple wind pressure that swept across was enough to make the immortal emperors lose their balance. The golden armored giant, who was in the center of the wind pressure, did not move. He raised his golden shield high and turned into a ray of golden light. He directly collided with the finger shadow that pressed down from the sky. The entire heavens and the earth were instantly filled with purple and golden light. The purple and golden light that shot out in all directions was too dazzling. Even the immortal emperors did not dare to look at it directly. They could only close their eyes. The destructive waves kept colliding and spreading. It was a battle between two peak powers, and it was hard to tell which was the winner. On one side, it was the power of a fake immortal emperor's finger. On the other side, it was the incomplete heaven-opening treasure. The two types of purple and golden energy collided hundreds of millions of times in just an instant. The sound of collapse was so deafening that it almost deafened the ears of the immortal emperors. In the midst of the sound of collapse, there were also cracking sounds. Then, another loud bang was heard. The collapse of this place had reached its peak. The destructive waves that were mixed with purple and golden light finally exploded. The fake immortal emperor's figure collapsed with a loud bang. Inmo's expression changed drastically. He could not believe that his divine ability was actually broken. Before he could react, he suffered a huge backlash. His entire body seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. He spurted out blood and was sent flying. His chi was also rapidly weakening because of his severe injuries. The eyeball monster didn't fare any better. The golden armored giant that was transformed from the god-destroying shield was also sent flying backward. It looked extremely miserable. Half of its golden body was destroyed. In the process of flying backward, it exploded completely, turning into rays of golden light and dissipating. In Ningfan's dantian, there was a crack on the god-exterminating shield. Its power was greatly reduced. Before it was repaired, it could not be used at all. The only thing that was gratifying was that the god-exterminating shield still protected Ningfan's physical body, preventing him from getting hurt. Compared to Mo, who was severely injured, the golden armored giant obviously had the upper hand in this attack. The fact proved that the fake immortal emperor's figure really could not defeat the real heaven-opening treasure. Senior Ghostface actually won. He actually withstood the finger of the immortal emperor. Each of the immortal emperors looked at Ningfan with incomparable shock. They did not know that it was just a fake finger of the immortal emperor. There was an ancient rumor that the finger of the immortal emperor could defeat 1 billion immortal emperors. Ningfan actually withstood such a terrifying divine ability. Was this something that a second-step cultivator could do? Impossible. Even if you have a heaven-opening treasure, it's impossible for you to withstand the power of a finger from the strongest expert of the defying world. This is absolutely impossible. Mo roared crazily. In order to use this finger, he had used up more than half of his cultivation base. Moreover, he was severely injured due to the backlash of his divine ability being broken. His strength was only left with less than 10% of his previous strength. However, this finger did not hurt the golden armored giant at all. It only damaged its god-exterminating shield. He could not accept such a result. At this moment, his cultivation base was already damaged and his injuries were even more severe. He had almost no chance of winning. Perhaps he would really be killed by the right eye. How could he be willing to be killed by the right eye? He had yet to take revenge on the Purple Doe immortal realm. He was not willing to accept it. His gaze shifted to the ancient immortal gate. Suddenly, a crazy thought appeared in his mind. This crazy thought quickly occupied his mind, making his eyes filled with bloodlust. He flipped his hand and took out a fiery red crow's feather. It was a very ordinary crow's feather. Other than its special color, there was no trace of immortal power coming from it. It seemed to be just an ordinary feather. However, if a sage was here, he would certainly be able to see the power of this crow's feather. Forget it. Since the 6 paths of primordial spirit that was sealed can't escape anymore. There was no need to escape. Destroy it. I'll help this primordial spirit clone. In my entire life, I dared to scheme against myself with the body of an evil corpse. I dared to disobey the immortal sovereign with my lowly body. I dared to fight against the entire Purple Doe immortal realm with my own strength. What I did was not to leave my name in history, but all of them were grand events that could shake the entire 3 realms. Who would have thought that one day I, the great Enemo, would be trampled on by a mere right eye? Hateful. Hateful. Right eye? You can't kill me. You can't. There are 6 primordial spirits sealed here. I don't want them anymore. Today, I will escape with my primordial spirit clone and return to the mortal world. I already know the coordinates of this illusionary world. When I return to the mortal world, I will definitely ask the Lord to send 100,000 tribulation cultivators to massacre all living beings in this world. You wait. Emo gritted his teeth and raised the crow's feather high up. At the same time, 6 scattered baleful auras came out from the sky. Emo's 6 primordial spirits that were sealed were destroyed. This item was a life-saving item given to him by the Master of Tribulation Thoughts. It had Grade 4 traversal power. It was because of the Grade 4 Tribulation Feather that he could survive under the seal of the Purple Doe Immortal Realm. It allowed a trace of his primordial spirit clone to pass through. This item was too arrogant. With his tribulation blood cultivation, he could not use this feather at all. However, after sacrificing the 6 primordial spirits, it was different. That's right. Emo had already gone crazy. In order to escape with a trace of his primordial spirit and take revenge on the illusionary world, he did not hesitate to destroy the 6 primordial spirits and use them as a sacrifice. At this moment, if it was just a trace of his primordial spirit, with this tribulation feather, he could go anywhere in the world. Even if it was an unopened ancient immortal door, he could still enter it without the need of a key. As soon as the crow's feather soared into the sky, it immediately turned into a ray of red light. It swept Emo up and directly rushed towards the immortal door. That red light was indescribably strange. The stone doors on the left and right of the immortal door were not opened at first. As Emo approached, they suddenly rumbled and opened by themselves. This ancient era's passageway had actually been opened without the use of a key. As soon as the immortal door opened, what everyone saw was not the scenery of the ancient realm of Heaven Desolate. Instead, it was a passage with endless purple flames. Emo's body was wrapped in red light. He directly rushed into the passage and shuttled through the blazing purple flames. Strangely, he was not injured at all. Soon, he disappeared without a trace. He escaped. Not good. I always thought that the crow's feather that person gave Emo was just an ordinary life-saving feather. I didn't expect it to be a shuttle feather. I really didn't expect that Emo could actually ignore the rules set by Immortal Sovereign Zido and directly open the immortal door with the power of this feather. He wanted to escape into the ancient realm of Heaven Desolate and return to the true world. He destroyed the rest of his primordial spirit and only left his primordial spirit. He was betting that his primordial spirit could successfully escape. The eyeball monster was greatly shocked. It controlled Ningfan's body and wanted to chase after Emo into the immortal door. However, as soon as it approached the immortal door, it was forced back by the purple flames inside. The purple flames were too terrifying. On the surface, they seemed to be just ordinary flames. However, with the eyesight of a 3rd-level quasi-sage, the eyeball monster could see that the purple flames contained extremely terrifying power which was enough to incinerate an incipient divine being. With the power of the shuttle feather, Emo escaped into the passage, but the eyeball monster could not enter. The ancient passage is actually open. What's going on? Could it be that someone used the key? Ancient realm of Heaven Desolate. On the other side of the immortal door is the ancient realm of Heaven Desolate. According to the ancient scrolls, the place where we are now is just an illusory dream world. On the other side of the immortal door is the legendary true world. Even though we are Zido immortal cultivators, if we conceal our identities, we might still be able to survive in the true world. There is a chance for us to become true saints there. The eyes of the surviving immortal emperors lit up. Many of them directly fled to the immortal door without saying a word. They came here to fight for the ancient passage. If they followed their previous plan, they would still need the key to open the door even if they managed to seize the passage. Now, however, it was different. They could directly enter the immortal door and save themselves a lot of trouble. It couldn't be better. These immortal emperors who rushed into the immortal door certainly noticed the purple flames inside. However, none of them paid attention to it. Firstly, with their cultivation bases, they could not see through the scariness of the purple flames. Secondly, After Mo escaped into the immortal door, didn't he easily pass through the seal of the purple flames? After being severely injured, Mo was only left with the cultivation base of a first-level quasi-sage. He was not much stronger than them. Mo could enter the immortal sect. As long as they were careful, they could do it too. Thus, the 4 immortal emperors of the human race and the demon race were the first to rush into the immortal gate, but immediately after, for cries of agony were heard. The moment the 4 immortal emperors stepped into the gate of immortality, he was directly burned to ashes by the purple fire in the door. Even his primordial spirit did not escape. This purple flame is actually so terrifying. Mo ran away. What should I do now? Ningfan asked. We can't let him escape. This is no longer my problem alone. If he escapes back to the true world, he will definitely die. The coordinates of the illusory world plane in this place will definitely be leaked to the stealing spirits. The eyeball monster's heart was heavy. This illusory dream realm was the last paradise that immortal sovereign Zido had left for the immortal cultivators. The reason why they were able to avoid the pursuit of the calamity race was not only because of the powerful seal outside the illusory dream realm but also because the coordinates of this illusory dream realm were extremely secretive. Very few people knew where it was. If the eyeball monster was allowed to return to the mortal world and leak the coordinates of this place to the tribulation spirit race, this world would definitely be destroyed by the tribulation spirit race. At that time, they only needed 1 tribulation spirit royal to arrive. It would be enough to destroy this world. The thoughts of the eyeball monster could not hide from Ningfan's spirit sense. Ningfan's heart immediately sank. If Mo escapes, the illusory dream realm will be faced with a calamity. I can't let Mo escape. However, the purple flames in the immortal door were just too powerful. Those who enter it would definitely die. He did not have the ability to rush into the passageway to chase after Mo at all. Could it be that I can only watch Mo escape and take revenge on the illusory dream realm? If this world is destroyed, all the people he loves will be killed by the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit. Ningfan could not accept such an outcome. Don't be afraid. Things aren't that bad. The things you're worried about aren't that bad. The things that you are worried about will not appear. I will never let Mo go. Because I am an immortal cultivator of Zido. You have done enough. This jade box is for you. If I die in the passageway, open it 24 hours later. Inside is a small gift from me. Burn. The eyeball monster suddenly shouted. All of a sudden, a black flame shot out from Ningfan's third eye and directly rushed into the passageway filled with purple flames. The speed of that black flame was too fast. It was so fast that none of the immortal emperors could see what it was. Only Ningfan knew that it was a wretched eyeball with black flames burning around its body. It was obviously wretched, but at this moment, it gave Ningfan a feeling of greatness. No one knew that the eyeball monster had ignited the undying void that the undying great emperor had left for him in exchange for a short period of supreme, undying power. No one knew that the eyeball monster had even ignited his cultivation base just to obtain the power to walk on the purple flames. He was going to risk his life and rush into the boundless sea of flames to kill one person. It was not only to avenge the undying great emperor but also to protect the last immortal cultivator of Zido in the illusory dream realm. On that day, Mo knelt in front of the undying great emperor and made a solemn vow. The eyeball monster would never dare to forget every single word. Zido was an immortal cultivator and Mo was a venerable emperor. Since he was born to slay evil, he would naturally inherit the will of the venerable emperor. Even though he was an evil corpse, he would definitely be upright and upright. He would not let heaven and earth, and he would not let Purple Do down. From now on, he would live for Zido and die for Zido. If he violates this vow, he would be killed by heaven and man. He was born for Zido and he would die for the sake of protecting Zido immortal domain. But maybe he wasn't that great. Maybe he just wanted to protect his last home on behalf of the undying great emperor. Even if he dies in the blazing purple flames today, he must kill Mo. Even if there are millions of people, I will still go. Ning Fan fell into silence. He had never thought that a wretched person like the eyeball monster would also do such a heroic thing. The blood in his heart, which had been silent for a long time, somehow became warm because of the eyeball monster's actions. Is this the real Zido immortal cultivators? The group of cultivators who are the most courageous in the eyes of the three great true worlds. Ning Fan no longer cared about what those immortal emperors were doing or saying. In front of him, a gray light flashed and turned into a jade box with complicated seals. It landed on his palm. This was the thing that the eyeball monster left for him. If the eyeball monster dies in the passage to the immortal gate, it would open after 24 hours. Inside it was the little gift that the eyeball monster left for him. Ning Fan held the jade box tightly. There was an indescribable heaviness in his heart. At this moment, he did not care about the gift that the eyeball monster left for him. In his heart, he was actually worried about the eyeball monster's safety. Such a heroic person should not die in this place without anyone knowing. I hope that he can return safely after killing In Mo. Time passed slowly. After an unknown amount of time, a scream suddenly came from the passage to the immortal gate. It was In Mo's scream. It came from an extremely far distance. It was filled with boundless baleful chi. Has In Mo been killed? The eyeball monster should be coming back soon, right? As time passed, the immortal gate that was forcefully opened by In Mo. It slowly closed again. The surviving great emperors of the two races were busy trying to stop the immortal gate from closing. However, it was all in vain. The next time the immortal gate opens, I'm afraid I can only rely on the key. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, the immortal gate completely closed with a loud bang. Ning Fan gently closed his eyes. He could not help but feel a little sad and desolate in his heart. That wretched and lecherous eyeball monster did not come back even at the last moment. He will never come back. If he is still alive, he will definitely come back. There is only one reason why he did not come back. The price he had to pay for killing In Mo was probably his life. Just for the promise he made in the past, he had to kill the traitor and protect the illusionary world no matter what price he had to pay. Even though the cultivators of the illusionary world did not know that someone had died for the sake of protecting the world, the eyeball monster still took action. It was truly a heroic act. Ning Fan kept the jade box that the eyeball monster gave him and patted his storage pouch. He took out a jar of spirit wine and took a sip before pouring the rest into the jar. Then he poured the rest of the wine outside the immortal gate. How could a hero leave without wine? Senior, the human race and the demon race have already come to an agreement on the ownership of the ancient passage. However, we still don't know what you think. Senior. The ancient god ascending heaven and the leader of the true dragon clan were standing behind Ning Fan cautiously, as if they wanted to discuss the ownership of the ancient passage with him. They still had not given up on the idea of fighting for the ancient passage. However, they did not dare to confront Ning Fan head-on. They only dared to use a tone of discussion. I'm not interested. The wine jar was already empty. Ning Fan looked at the immortal gate that was tightly shut as if it had never been opened. A wave of irritation was raging in his heart. These cultivators of the illusionary world were being protected by someone, but they did not even realize it. Someone had died for them, but no one knew about it and no one would remember them. Senior, you don't seem to be in a good mood. Is there anything I can do to help? The voice of immortal Emperor Zhang Jie suddenly resounded from beside Ning Fan. She was not an ungrateful person. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's help, she would have probably been killed by In Mo. However, she did not know how to repay his kindness. The cultivation level that Ning Fan had shown her was too high. Is there anything in my possessions that he would take a fancy to? I don't think so. That shouldn't be the case. Why would a level 3 quasi-saint be interested in his trash? There's no need for that. Ning Fan suddenly woke up from his thoughts. Currently, the eyeball monster no longer possessed his body. His third eye had also returned to its normal state. With his current cultivation level, he did not have the ability to act like a senior in front of a large group of immortal emperors. The god extermination shield was also damaged and could not be used anymore. If an immortal emperor attacks him here, he would be in great danger. Ning Fan did not forget that the grudge between him and the True Dragon clan was very deep. If the leader of the True Dragon clan discovers his true identity and attacks him together, he would not have the confidence to escape from the hands of a group of immortal emperors. It was the eyeball monster and Een Mo who killed immortal emperors as if they were dogs. Ning Fan was just a junior. Now is not the time to be sentimental. Thinking of this, Ning Fan did not want to stay in this place for a long time. His body flashed and he wanted to leave. "Senior, please wait." The voice of the leader of the True Dragon clan suddenly resounded. Ning Fan's body stopped moving. His heart was filled with vigilance, but he did not show any of it on his face. He turned around and said to the leader of the True Dragon clan, "What's the matter?" "Senior, can you give me your name?" This time, there are many unforeseen events in the desolate land. Een Mo, a great cultivator from the ancient times, actually caused chaos here. If it wasn't for Senior, I'm afraid more of us would have died. Senior has saved our lives. We want to repay your kindness, but we don't know how to do so. I suppose you won't be interested in our possessions? The leader of the True Dragon clan changed his usual gloomy tone. He actually behaved cautiously in front of Ning Fan. He did not dare to act presumptuously in front of a great cultivator from the ancient times. "There's no need for me to repay your kindness. I really don't like your possessions." Ning Fan had no choice but to continue acting according to the leader of the True Dragon clan. Inwardly, however, he was smiling bitterly. The possessions of any of the immortal emperors here were enough to make Ning Fan envious. He really wanted them, but he was afraid that he would expose his suspicions and arouse the suspicion of these immortal emperors, causing more trouble. "I can't. We are also considered as Purple Dipper immortal cultivators. How can we not repay the kindness that we owe?" The palms of the leader of the True Dragon clan were filled with cold sweat. He knew the pros and cons of this matter. When one's cultivation base had reached Ning Fan's level, he would be stained with karma if he simply did a favor to someone. For example, the karma of saving someone's life was even greater. If he was not careful, he might cause the other party to be consigned to eternal damnation. Who knew if Ning Fan was hiding a dagger behind his smile? On the surface, he acted as if he was saving someone without asking for anything in return. However, he might be plotting against everyone secretly. It was not impossible. Given the cautious character of the leader of the True Dragon clan, it was impossible for him to make a mistake in such a big matter. Being greedy for small gains would only result in a huge loss. For an ancient great cultivator like Ning Fan, he had just fought a bitter battle with another great cultivator in this place, but he did not come for the ancient passage. The leader of the True Dragon clan would never believe that he did not have any ulterior motives. "Senior, please give us your name. We will definitely worship the Luck Tower for you to repay your kindness. This is our sincerity. Please don't reject it." "Luck Tower?" Ning Fan was slightly stunned. Then his eyes lit up. "This item is a good item. Forget it. After this battle, I'm afraid I won't be able to hide my name even if I want to. Listen carefully. My name is Zhao Jian. You may worship the Tower of Providence under these names. Apart from that, I have another request. I hope that all of you will agree to it." Ning Fan's voice became slightly deeper. The leader of the True Dragon clan was immediately startled and said hurriedly, "What request does Senior have? Just tell us. Even if the True Dragon clan has to give it our all, we will definitely complete the task that Senior has entrusted us with." Chapter 952. After a long conversation, Ning Fan gave some instructions to the ancient Reaching Heaven Emperor under the complicated gaze of the clan leader of the True Dragon clan. Then he left. After that, the clan leader and the ancient Reaching Heaven Emperor issued a gag order to the immortal emperors of the two clans. From today onwards, everything related to Senior Zhao Jian would be classified as the top secret of the True Spirit race and would be recorded in the Vermilion Scroll. After that, the great emperors of the two clans seemed to have reached some kind of agreement. They worked together to seal the ancient immortal gate and got busy outside the Nine Heavens imperial court. Ning Fan was not concerned about how they would deal with the ancient passage. He ran all the way and found Miao Yen and Candle Bao near a collapsed barbarian mountain. Seeing Ning Fan return safely, Miao Yen secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She had been worried about Ning Fan. Only she knew that Ning Fan was not a third-level quasi-sage. He had borrowed the strength of the eyeball monster to temporarily reach that level. Luckily, Ning Fan won the battle in the end. As long as he's safe, the hunchbacked old man that Candle Bao transformed into did not have his usual wretched expression. Instead, he looked at Ning Fan with unprecedented seriousness. After a long time, he gritted his teeth and asked, Master, Big Brother Eyeball didn't come back with you? He chased after Nemo and entered the ancient immortal gate. I'm afraid he won't come back. Is that so? Candle Bao's body trembled as if he was trying to suppress his surging emotions. However, he could not suppress it in the end. He roared at the sky with tears flowing down his cheeks. Then, he ran towards the ancient immortal gate of the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. Ning Fan did not stop him. He just let Candle Bao go far away. He did not expect that Candle Bao would be the one who grieved the most after the death of the eyeball monster. The eyeball monster and Candle Bao had lived together for 930 years in the space of the Copper Tower. In the beginning, they were enemies, but later on, they became sworn brothers. Fine. I'll let Candle Bao go to the ancient immortal gate to see off the eyeball monster. Ning Fan sighed softly and turned to Miao Yen. I'm leaving. The chaos of the wild, desolate land has ended. Where are you going next? I want to pay a visit to venerated sovereign Tong Tian first and report everything that happened in the wild, desolate land. Even Miao Yan's face turned pale when she recalled the terror of the chaos. During the chaos this time, not only countless barbarians and cultivators of the two clans died, but also 19 immortal emperors were killed. Be it the demon race or the human race, both of them would probably suffer greatly because of this chaos. Report everything about me. Miao Yen hurriedly interrupted Ning Fan halfway through his words. Don't worry. Fellow Taoist has saved my life. I won't tell anyone about fellow Taoist. No, that's not what I meant. There are some things that I have already discussed with the two thearchs. You don't have to take the initiative to tell anyone about me. Of course, they wouldn't dare to ask you. I'll be leaving first. Go and pay your respects to the ancient emperor of Tongtian. Also, tell Zhu Gong that if he wants to leave, I'll return his freedom. If he's still willing to come back, come and find me. I'll stay in the wilderness for another 3 days. Ning Fan took a deep look at the direction of the immortal gate. Then he turned around and left. The favor he owed to Miao Yen should have been repaid. There was no need for him to be involved with this woman anymore. Miao Yen looked at Ning Fan, who was leaving, with a complicated expression. Then, she turned around and flew towards the immortal gate. At the entrance of the immortal gate, she paid her respects to the ancient emperor of Tongtian and told him about the things that happened in the wilderness. However, she only briefly mentioned about Ning Fan. Which of the great emperors of the human race could not tell that Miao Yen was hiding something from them? However, none of them mentioned it. It was unknown what Ning Fan had said to the human emperors. Many of them became even more polite towards Miao Yen. There were even 2 female great emperors who ran to Miao Yen and asked her meaningfully. Fellow Taoist Miao Yen is really capable. Senior Zhao Jian really dotes on you. Just now, he even praised you to the ancient emperor of Tong. Miao Yan's face immediately turned red. Of course, she understood that these great emperors must have misunderstood something. These great emperors must have misunderstood that she had an affair with Ning Fan. Otherwise, with their status, why would they be so polite to an immortal venerate? She really wanted to know what Ning Fan had said to these great emperors just now. How could it cause such a subtle misunderstanding among them? Big brother. Big brother. Big brother. The hunchback old man that was transformed from the Candle Bao knelt in front of the immortal gate and wailed loudly. Its identity as an innate Bao spirit could not be hidden from the immortal emperors here. Moreover, many of them could tell that it was a Bao spirit that was about to attain the level of an innate treasure spirit. An innate treasure spirit. It was hard to find such a spiritual item in the entire illusionary world. They did not expect to see it here. However, when they recalled Ning Fan's warning just now, their expressions turned solemn. None of them dared to have any thoughts about the candle bow. The face of the clan leader of the true dragon clan darkened. How could he not recognize that it was the candle bow of his clan? If it was possible, he really wanted to keep the candle bow. However, he could not ignore Ning Fan's warning. This old man and Zhu Li are old acquaintances. I like this candle bow very much. Are you descendants of Zhu Li willing to give this item to me? Would he, Ao Qiangu, dare to reject the request of a dignified third-level quasi-sage? How could he reject it? If he rejects it, wouldn't he be creating a great enemy for the true dragon clan that could annihilate the entire clan? Forget it. I have already obtained the immortal gate. The matter of unsealing the key to the immortal gate can be completed even without the bow spirit. At most, I just need to spend a little more time. Compared to offending a third-level quasi-sage, the clan leader of the true dragon clan would rather spend a few thousand years to slowly unseal the key to the immortal gate. He looked at the candle bow that was behaving strangely and kept crying in front of the immortal gate with a complicated expression. In the end, he did not dare to attack it because this item belonged to Zhao Jian. Zhao Jian was really an unfamiliar name. However, there were many great cultivators in the ancient times. As a cultivator in the declining era, it was normal for him not to have heard of this name. Judging from Senior Zhao's tone, he seems to be very familiar with my old ancestor. I'm afraid they are also monsters from the same era. If I give the candle bow to this person, I might be able to form a good relationship with him. With that thought in mind, the clan leader of the true dragon clan walked towards the crying candle bow with a smile on his face. If I can't get the candle bow back, I will befriend him and mend the misunderstanding between us. In this way, Senior Zhao will definitely be satisfied. After bidding farewell to Miao Yen, Ning Fan sprinted towards the encampment of the human race. Under the gaze of countless human cultivators, he brought Zhao and the others away. Those barbarians who had lost their souls and were unconscious were also brought away by Ning Fan. Senior Zhao, will we meet again? Fairy Han Wu, who was in the group of the Guanghan Palace, looked at Ning Fan, who was getting further away, with a complicated expression. Before Ning Fan arrived, the ancient Piercing Heaven Emperor had already sent a message to all the cultivators of the human race, telling them that if Senior Zhao Jian comes, they must not neglect him. No one is allowed to reveal or mention anything about Senior Zhao to anyone. This was the highest order to keep their mouths shut. Senior Zhao Jian. I didn't expect that fellow Taoist Ning's real name is actually Zhao Jian. Moreover, his real cultivation base is an existence that even the ancient Piercing Heaven Emperor would address as Senior. Han Wu knew Ning Fan's name, but now, she just thought that it was a fake name and Zhao Jian was his real name. The fact that Senior Zhao had used Ning Fan's fake name before would probably also be included in the order to keep their mouths shut and not mention it to anyone. Many of the human cultivators who had been saved by Ning Fan before, such as the Four-Eyed Devil, Monarch, and tens of thousands of people whom Ning Fan had saved in passing, had eyes filled with respect and gratitude. They had been saved and protected by Ning Fan before. They would never dare to forget his kindness. Moreover, they would not dare to reveal anything about Ning Fan to anyone. Ning Fan brought Zhao and the others with him and flew at full speed. Then they descended outside the ruins of a city. This city used to have a beautiful name, Bianliang. Ning Fan had once comprehended the truth in this place, watched the snow and waited for the plum blossoms at this place. Today, all that was left of this place were ruins. Looking at the ruins of her hometown, Zhao Er's eyes turned red. Not counting those barbarians who had lost their souls, she was probably the only barbarian left in the ancient region of the savage desolation. It was really lonely. Was this the feeling of having one's country destroyed and one's family destroyed? Don't cry. You are not alone. You still have 700,000 clansmen and your uncle. I'm sorry. I didn't manage to take back all the souls that I lost. Ning Fan sighed apologetically. If he was a little stronger, would he be able to save all the barbarians? Save people? I didn't expect that someone like him who used to slaughter would actually do something like saving people one day. I still have to wait for 3 more days in the savage desolation. Earth Devil Taya, the two of you stay here and guard the barbarian corpses. Don't make any mistakes. Ning Fan suddenly ordered Earth Devil and Taya. The two of them were the remnant souls of the immortal venerables that Ning Fan had subdued previously. Previously, Ning Fan's cultivation base was still insufficient and he still needed to be polite to them. Now that his cultivation base had improved tremendously, the strength of the two of them was no longer a threat to him. Understood. Earth Devil and Taya did not dare to disregard Ning Fan's order. They cupped their fists respectfully and their eyes were filled with respect. The current Ning Fan gave them an extremely dangerous feeling. His strength was definitely above the immortal venerables. Faintly, he actually gave them a heavy sense of oppression. Even if they were at their peak condition, they would still not be a match for Ning Fan, let alone the fact that they were just remnant souls and their life souls were in Ning Fan's hands. Thus, they naturally did not dare to be disrespectful to Ning Fan. Zhongyu, you've worked hard this time. Previously, you forcefully displayed the piercing golden light and suffered a huge backlash. I've already told you that I owe you this time. If there's a chance, I will certainly help you reconstruct your physical body. Ning Fan then said to immortal concubine Zhongyu. Tieske, who needs your help? Immortal concubine Zhongyu let out a soft snort arrogantly. However, she hid the trace of fear deep in her eyes. In the human base, she was probably the only one who had sensed the entire battle. The strength of the 2/3 level quasi-saints made immortal concubine Zhongyu feel terrified. The chi of one of them seemed to belong to Ning Fan. Since when did this little thief possess the strength of a 3rd level quasi-saint? I was worried about him. After all this time, he doesn't need anyone to worry about him at all. He actually has such a high cultivation base. He hid it really well. It's 1,000 times better than the Moon Ancestral Soul Spring in the Guanghan Palace. Ning Fan did not care about Zhang Yu's arrogance. Instead, he turned to Lu Yen, Zhao, and Xian Loli. You guys should also take a rest. In these 3 days, there won't be any more battles in the desolate wasteland. After that, I will bring all of you away. Uncle, can Dai also leave the desolate wasteland? Zhao De's gloomy eyes immediately regained some vigor. In the past, I couldn't do it. But now, the heavenly Tao of the desolate wasteland of the Fan family doesn't dare to stop me. Ning Fan raised his head and indifferently glanced at the sky of the desolate wasteland. Just a glance was enough to make the entire heavenly Tao of the desolate wasteland tremble violently. This place used to be the mountain sea where the barbarian cultivators of the Fan family resided. This place was the mountain sea of a second-rate barbarian force. How could the heavenly Tao of this place not be afraid in front of Ning Fan, the 10th barbarian god? This Senior Zhao has such a terrifying technique. Just a glance is enough to make the heavenly Tao tremble in fear. According to the ancient records, only 3rd-step saints can use such a technique. Could it be that Senior Zhao has already touched the bottleneck of the saint realm? Could it be the first saint of the illusory world? Some of the great emperors of the 2 clans who were secretly observing Ning Fan's movements initially hid their spirit sense in the heavenly Tao. At this moment, because the heavenly Tao was trembling, they felt a backlash. Even though the backlash was not severe, it was enough to frighten them. They hurriedly withdrew their spirit sense and no longer dared to probe further. The fear they felt towards Ning Fan had risen to a height that they had never felt before. Terrifying. It's really too terrifying. Senior Zhao is definitely going to become a Saint Realm expert soon. No wonder he could withstand a finger attack from an immortal sovereign and easily defeat a 3rd-step quasi-sage. From today onwards, I must never offend Senior Zhao even if I have to offend the 10 great secret clans and the great demons that are hibernating in the dream realm. Has he already intimidated those immortal emperors? Ning Fan thought to himself. Even though he had lost the power of the strange eyeball, he still had the means to make those immortal emperors believe in his terrifying strength. In this way, even if some of the immortal emperors see through his true cultivation base, they would only think that he was hiding his true cultivation base. Even if Ning Fan's identity is exposed one day, people would only think that Ning Fan is a fake identity. As long as the existence of Zhao Jian does not cause Ning Fan any trouble, it would be enough. I will go into seclusion here for the next 3 days. I don't want anyone to disturb me. Ning Fan seemed to be saying this to Zhang Yu and the others, but also to those immortal emperors who were far away from him. He must stay here for another 3 days and extract the heavenly Tao soul of the desolate land with his supreme barbarian god's power. The Tao soul was the carrier of the seed of will. Only by borrowing the power of the Tao soul of this land could he give Zhao De and the other barbarians the power to leave the desolate land and obtain the qualifications to cultivate and attain immortality. Extracting the heavenly Tao soul was the solution that Tao Barbarian Mountain had given him. The mountains have souls, the oceans have souls, and everything in the world has souls. This was the world in the barbarian's eyes. The soul extracting technique that was circulating in the cultivation world was said to be a great divine ability created by a barbarian cultivator who was even more ancient than Tao Barbarian Mountain. There were only a few words about this in the scroll that Tao Barbarian Mountain gave him. It has been many years since I last used the soul extracting technique. I didn't expect it to be a divine ability created by the barbarians. Ning Fan found a small mountain and sat cross-legged on it. He closed his eyes and allowed his body and mind to become one with heaven and earth. There are 4 grades of the soul extracting technique: Earth Soul, Void Soul, Sun, Moon and Stars Soul, and Heavenly Tao Soul. Ning Fan recalled the scene when Tai Su possessed his body and fought against Mo Luo in the past. At that time, he borrowed Tai Su's power to extract the 6 Tao souls, which was even better than extracting the Heavenly Tao soul. In the past, Ning Fan naively thought that the 4 grades of the soul extracting technique were ranked from the lowest to the highest. Most cultivators also thought the same way. Now that he had become the 10th barbarian god, Ning Fan gained a new understanding of the soul extracting technique. The Earth Soul might not necessarily be weaker than the Void Soul, while the Heavenly Tao Soul might not necessarily be stronger than the Sun, Moon and Star Soul. Sen Luo had shocked the world with the Starry Sky Soul extracting technique. The power of the Starry Sky Soul extracting technique that he used might not necessarily be weaker than the Heavenly Tao Soul extracting technique that Mo Luo used in the past. There was no difference in the level of a soul. Instead, it all depended on the soul extractor's own understanding of the technique. If one's understanding of the mountain soul was higher, it might not necessarily be impossible to extract the Heavenly Tao soul. With my current cultivation base, it is still very difficult for me to extract the Heavenly Tao soul. However, this is the sky of the desolate world, and I am the barbarian god. If I want to extract the Heaven Barbarian soul, he wouldn't dare to disobey me. It's not difficult to extract the Heaven Barbarian soul. However, if I want to refine this intense seed, I will need some preparation time. Ning Fan took out the seed of the dust tree and swallowed it, refining it in his dantian. The seed of the dust tree contained a trace of the Lord of Tribulation Sense's will. In the past, it was Tai Tsong Jieling who had deprived the barbarian cultivators of the Fan family of their right to cultivate and schemed against them. Today, only this trace of will could restore the barbarian cultivators' right to cultivate. While Ning Fan was refining the seed of the dust tree, he was multitasking. He began to unseal the stone statues of the 7th ancestor, Mounz, Ting Nan and Ting Bei one by one. The latter 3 were all at the fragment thought realm. After Yin Mo's death, it was not difficult for their stone statues to be petrified. However, the process of unsealing the 7th ancestor's stone statue was not smooth. It seemed like the higher the cultivation base of the person who was petrified, the harder it was to remove the petrification. One day later, Ning Fan unsealed the stone statues of Mounz and the others. Under their bewildered gazes, he sent them away. He did not need their gratitude. He was just following his heart. On the 2nd day, he still had not unsealed the 7th ancestor's stone statue. However, after some effort, he managed to unseal the 7th ancestor's storage pouch. The 700,000 barbarian souls in the pouch were released by Ning Fan. Under his guidance, they returned to their physical bodies. The 700,000 barbarian souls were awakened, but the other 300,000 barbarian souls would never wake up again. On the third day, the seventh ancestor's stone statue still could not be completely unsealed. However, Ning Fan was no longer in a hurry because he had already finished refining the seed of the dust tree. I'll just let the seventh ancestor remain petrified for a few more days. After all, it's not an important matter. Next, it's time to extract the Heaven's Tao soul of this place. Ning Fan slowly rose to his feet. He raised his hand and casually made a grabbing motion at the Heaven's Tao. It was an ordinary action, but it was as if he was holding the entire Heaven's Tao in his hand. The great emperors who were still busy sealing the immortal gates in the desolate wilderness were shocked and looked in the direction where Ning Fan was. In that direction, the 36 golden punishment mountains were hanging high in the sky, causing the entire Heaven's Tao to tremble violently as if it was afraid of them. At the next moment, Ning Fan flipped his palm and extracted the Heaven's Tao soul of Man Tian from heaven and earth. He did not fuse the Heaven's Tao soul into his body. If he fuses the soul with it, Ning Fan's chi would have a chance to skyrocket. With his current cultivation base and the power of the Heaven's Tao soul, his chi would definitely rise to the level of the second eternal tribulation within a short period of time. If he has a deeper understanding of extracting the Heaven's Tao soul, this technique would probably become even stronger. The soul power of the Heaven's Tao soul that was extracted kept gathering around Ning Fan's body. Eventually, it turned into the illusory image of a black cat. This black cat did not have any cultivation base, but it could increase the cultivation base of the person who fuses with the soul. Meow. The black cat seemed to be a female cat. After Ning Fan extracted it, it behaved respectfully and submissively. It kept rubbing its small face against Ning Fan's leg like a pet that was eager to win its master's favor. It was as obedient as it could be. Is this something that the arrogant Heaven's Tao soul would do? Thus, all the immortal emperors were shocked once again. It was not that they had never seen the Heaven's Tao soul being extracted before. However, none of them could make the Heaven's Tao soul behave so respectfully and submissively. The Heaven's Tao was different from humans. It was always arrogant in front of cultivators. The only ones who could make the Heaven's Tao submit to them were saints. As expected, Senior Zhao is really going to become a saint soon. Otherwise, how could he do such a thing? You're the Heaven's Tao soul of the Fan clan's desolate lands? Ning Fan kicked the black cat in disdain. However, after it was kicked away, it kept returning to Ning Fan's side and rubbing against him non-stop. It seems like I'm going to have another sticky candy by my side from today onwards. Fine. From today onwards, you will follow me. You don't need to control the heaven of man anymore. Are you willing? Meow. The small black cat responded to Ning Fan with a respectful and gentle meow. Of course, it was willing to follow Ning Fan. It was the Heaven's Tao soul, and Ning Fan was the barbarian god who possessed the punishment power of the 36 mountains. As long as it stays by Ning Fan's side, it would be able to borrow Ning Fan's punishment power to cultivate. The heavenly Tao soul was born for the purpose of descending tribulation, punishment, and punishment. If they want to increase their strength, they would need to rely on a stronger punishment power. Ning Fan was the best choice. Seeing that the black cat was willing to follow him, Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. In that case, there was no need for him to use the violent methods described in the Tao Barbarian Mountain Scroll. With the black cat following him, Ning Fan only needed to fuse with it in the future. It would be like using the Tao soul extraction technique, and his cultivation base would instantly skyrocket. Ning Fan squatted down and patted the black cat's head to comfort it. Then, he kept the black cat into his profound Yin world. All the immortal emperors were shocked. They had seen the Tao soul extraction technique before. Many immortal emperors could use it. They had also heard that the Tao soul extraction technique could make the Tao soul obediently submit to them. It was recorded in many ancient scrolls. However, didn't the soul extraction technique have to return the soul to its original place? Senior Zhao not only extracted the Tao soul of the savage wilderness but also wrapped it up. How did he do such an unimaginable thing? How could the prideful Heaven's Tao soul submit to any cultivator like a pet? Even an incipient saint would not be able to do this. Of course, these immortal emperors did not know that the reason why Ning Fan could do this was because of his transcendent status as the 10th barbarian god. If he goes to the ancient barbarian world, he could use his identity to extract all the Tao souls of the barbarian world and fuse them into his body at any time, allowing his cultivation base to skyrocket. With the help of the Tao souls of the entire ancient barbarian world, even if he was not a saint, he could definitely fight against a saint. Unfortunately, Ning Fan could not go to the ancient barbarian world now, and he could not extract the heavens Tao souls there either. With his current cultivation base, he would not be able to make the heavens Tao souls submit to him without the sky of the barbarian world. It would be difficult for him to even extract its soul. Let's go. The corner of Ning Fan's mouth twitched again. Who can tell me why the eyeball monster didn't die? Damn it. What kind of look is that? You're not happy that I didn't die. You actually want to curse me to die. You heartless little demon. Have you forgotten who was the one who saved you from Inmo's scheme? And who was it? The eyeball monster scolded, but before it could finish, it was interrupted by another cry. Big brother. You didn't die. Is this true? Zhu Gong, who was running towards them, cried tears of joy. That's right, second brother. I didn't die. Aren't you very surprised? I knew it. Only you are sincere to Big Brother. Only you will shed tears for Big Brother. The eyeball monster's eyes were brimming with tears. Then, under the dumbfounded gaze of countless barbarians, the two idiots hugged each other like tigers, showing the scene of deep brotherly love. They were really curious how the eyeball monster without limbs could hug each other like tigers. Ning Fan rubbed his forehead and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The eyeball monster didn't die. He wasn't crying tears of joy, but he was more or less gratified. However, he really wanted to know. Why didn't the eyeball monster die, and how did it escape from the immortal gate? Also, that jade box. Could it be that the eyeball monster had already prepared a way to kill Inmo? With the wretched personality of this eyeball monster, it was indeed hard to imagine that it would risk its life to kill Inmo without leaving a way out. I was sad for its death for half a day, but I didn't expect it was actually like this. Chapter 953. The eyeball monster didn't die, but it lost all of its cultivation base and the undying void. Its body became incomparably illusory, almost transparent. After a series of inquiries, Ning Fan understood the whole story of how the eyeball was reborn. He looked at the purplish-red lightning talisman that was broken into two halves in the jade box and was secretly amazed. The prime clear lightning talisman was one of the 3,000 secret talismans passed down by the ancient sacred sect. It had a life-saving ability similar to the fantasy life pill. If it wasn't for this life-saving trump card, the eyeball monster would have most likely died in the sea of fire. Brat, where are you going next? I'm going to the northern heaven. Do you want to come with me? After the eyeball was done messing around, it finally asked Ning Fan. Northern Sky. I still haven't finished my business in Eastern Sky, so I won't go to Northern Sky for the time being. Forget it, I don't really want you to go anyway. Second brother, do you want to go to the Northern Sky with Big Brother? He looked at Candlebow affectionately. Go, of course. Wherever Big Brother goes, this little brother will follow. Good brother. Yes, Big Brother. Good brother. Yes, Big Brother. Ning Fan's forehead was filled with black lines as he looked at this pair of idiots. It seemed like Candlebow had just said that it would follow him for life. How long had it changed its mind and wanted to follow the eyeball monster? Forget it. If they want to go to the northern heaven together, then let's go together. He no longer cared whether he has the Candlebow by his side or not. Northern heaven. I wonder if the purpose of the eyeball monster going to northern heaven is related to the mourning death great emperor. Looking at the confident look on the eyeball monster's face, even if he lost all his cultivation, he would probably have the means to protect himself. There was no need to worry about the safety of these two fools. Stinking brat, we're leaving. From today onwards, my second brother is no longer your artifact spirit. In exchange, I'll compensate you with a Khanate magic treasure. In addition to the one I owed you before, I'll give you a total of 2. Take it." The gray light from the strange eyeball swept across the area. Immediately, 2 rays of light flew towards Ning Fan. Ning Fan was stunned for a moment before he directly kept them into his profound Yin world. "Stinking brat, we don't owe each other anymore. We'll never meet again, ha! Big brother. Let's go quickly. I extorted a lot of good things from the True Dragon clan. Don't let Master snatch them away. I'm leaving now. Big brother has obtained a new treasure. Let me show you its power. Fly, little feather." The eyeball monster released a red light, and in the next instant, the red light wrapped around it and the candle bow, directly piercing out of the wilderness plain, whistling away. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed slightly. If he was not mistaken, that red light should be the red crow feather that Mo directly used. The original name of this feather seemed to be Shuttle Feather, but the eyeball monster gave it a lowly name. "Little Feather, can you come up with a worse name? Let's go." Since the eyeball monster had left, Ning Fan did not plan to stay any longer. He turned his hand and took out a reckless flash jade talisman. He had obtained this talisman from Si Ming after killing her. It could allow him to leave the ancient savage desolation region at any time. He crushed the jade talisman, and a wild flash tunnel that led to the outside world appeared. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and swept up everyone present. Then, he directly flew into the passageway of the barbaric flash and left the desolate land. In the past, he could not bring mortals into the passageway. But now, with his identity as the 10th barbarian god, he could do it. As soon as he entered the passageway, Ning Fan immediately clenched his 5 fingers. Under his control, the power of the wild flash within the passageway condensed into a dark red giant spirit boat. Zhao and the other 700,000 barbarians landed on the spirit boat. Ning Fan stood at the bow of the boat and steered it forward. The journey to the desolate land might seem short, but when they returned, the distance was more than 100 times longer. This was because after the collapse of the desolate land, the space became distorted, causing the straight passageway to become twisted. Naturally, they would have to take a longer detour. In the beginning, Ning Fan personally steered the spirit boat. Later on, he realized that this would be a very time-consuming journey. Thus, he ordered the Earth Devil and Iron Crow to steer the boat while he entered the profound Yin world to cultivate his inverse relic. Shi Zihua was a master in the art of enchantment. In terms of cultivation base, she was probably above the ancient Chaos Immortal Emperor. With the help of Shi Zihua, Ning Fan successfully cultivated his inverse relic. In a sense, he could be considered as inheriting Shi Zihua's legacy. Unfortunately, he did not have the time to study the function of the inverse relic before this. Now that he was free, he naturally had to study it properly. As soon as he entered the profound Yin world, Ning Fan immediately kept his ghost mask and flew towards the eastern world. The eastern world of profound Yin was the place where the human cauldrons lived. There were more than 100,000 human cauldrons in this place. In the past few years, with the large amount of cultivation resources provided by Ning Fan and the unique environment of the profound Yin world, the cultivation bases of the human cauldrons improved very quickly. All of the human cauldrons had broken through to the nascent soul realm. Moreover, there were more than 1,000 human cauldrons who had successfully attained the divine transformation realm. Ning Fan looked at everything with satisfaction. With these human cauldrons around, the cultivation of his inverse relic should be very smooth. "Master, why have you come?" 2 rays of light flew into the sky and welcomed him. They were Bing Ling and Yu Ling. They were the first batch of human cauldrons that Ning Fan captured. In the past few years, the 2 of them had wholeheartedly helped Ning Fan manage the other human cauldrons. Their contributions could not go unnoticed. These 2 women seem to be on the verge of attaining the divine transformation realm. It seems like they have put in a lot of hard work in the past few years. You 2 have worked hard all these years. Ning Fan reached out his hand and touched their faces. The 2 of them blushed. If it's for their master, it's worth it no matter how hard they work. By the way, Bing Ling has something to report to Master. The cultivation bases of our sisters are getting higher and higher, and the cultivation resources that we need are also increasing. The resources that Master gave us last time are almost used up. Many of our sisters are stuck at a bottleneck and are unable to break through. Bingling looked at Ning Fan affectionately. The meaning behind her words was very obvious. Our sisters don't have many cultivation resources left. Master, why don't you offer your body to us? With Master's profound cultivation base, you can help many of our sisters achieve a breakthrough in their cultivation bases with just one round of dual cultivation. We'll talk about this later. I came here for another important matter. I'm cultivating a type of divine ability called the inverse relic. In order to cultivate this item, I need to borrow your strength. As soon as they heard Ning Fan's words, Bingling and Yuling's faces immediately lit up with joy. Then they asked expectantly, Master, do you need human cauldrons to pluck your strength? Every human cauldron in this place had been plucked by Ning Fan before. In the past few years, many female cultivators had already regained their previous cultivation bases. Life in the profound Yin world was peaceful and peaceful. Moreover, there were countless cultivation resources provided to them. Thus, all the human cauldrons were filled with gratitude towards Ning Fan. Moreover, because of the constant brainwashing of Bingling and Yuling, almost all the female cultivators in this place regarded Ning Fan as their heaven. The reason why they desperately cultivated was also because they wanted to become qualified human cauldrons for Ning Fan to pluck in the future. It was as if they would only be useful and needed by Ning Fan if they were plucked by him. Only then would their lives be meaningful. Ning Fan rubbed his forehead helplessly. In the past few years, he had been running all over the place and neglected the management of the human cauldrons. However, he did not expect that the female cultivators here would become more and more loyal to him after being brainwashed by Bingling and Yuling. This was not his intention. In terms of cultivating death warriors, Bingling and Yuling were definitely outstanding. Unfortunately, Ning Fan did not need them. His cultivation base was too high to the point that plucking the human cauldrons here was almost useless. However, he could not simply say such words out loud. Otherwise, many human cauldrons who were loyal to him would definitely be disappointed. This time, I don't need to pluck anyone. Ning Fan pondered for a while and said, As expected, our cultivation bases are too low. We don't even have the qualifications to be plucked by Master. Bingling and Yuling lowered their heads dejectedly. Every time Ning Fan came here, his cultivation base would improve by a lot. This time, his cultivation base seemed to have improved again. The two ladies could not see the depth of Ning Fan's cultivation base at all. Even though Ning Fan deliberately suppressed his aura force, they still felt like they were looking up at a lofty mountain when facing him. The difference between their cultivation bases was just too huge. Perhaps one day, they would be abandoned by Ning Fan. In the cultivation world, the behavior of abandoning low-grade human cauldrons was just too common. Don't worry. I won't abandon you too. Ning Fan had the mind-reading technique. He easily saw through their thoughts and sighed. The two ladies obviously thought that Ning Fan was just comforting them. Thus, they were still a little unhappy. Ning Fan no longer tried to explain himself. Feeling helpless, he ordered the two ladies. The two of you come closer. After hearing what he said, the two ladies did not dare to disobey him. Thus, they moved closer to Ning Fan. As for Ning Fan, he secretly circulated the power of the reverse relic in his body and held their hands respectively. Immediately, an extremely vast energy was transmitted from the inverse relic into the two women's bodies. The energy rushed into the two women's dantian and condensed into a pink semicircular relic next to their nascent souls. The aura of this semicircular relic was similar to that of Ning Fan's reverse relic. What Ning Fan condensed was the mother relic, while what the two ladies condensed was the child relic. The two girls were originally only one step away from breaking through to the soul formation stage, but the moment the child relics were formed, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged into their bodies, and their cultivation levels instantly began to skyrocket. Early divine transformation, mid-divine transformation, late divine transformation, peak divine transformation. After that, the two women's auras actually advanced to the void refinement realm. Void glimpse stage, void inquiry stage, void pure stage and absolute void stage. If it weren't for the fact that the two ladies had yet to comprehend the intent realm and sense the real and the void, they would have most likely advanced to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm in a single step. Besides, this kind of increase in cultivation base only required him to absorb the power of heaven and earth. It would not cause any damage to his cultivation base. This is the enlightenment technique. The two ladies were astonished. In the cultivation world, there was naturally a method to directly increase one's cultivation base. It was called enlightenment. Only second step immortal cultivators could use enlightenment on their juniors to increase their cultivation base. However, doing so would cause great damage. It could easily damage their Tao foundation, causing the cultivation base of the person who received the enlightenment to stop advancing forever. This isn't enlightenment. It's a secret technique that I've just learned. It doesn't have any side effects. You don't have to worry. Ning Fan roughly explained the function of the inverse relic to the two ladies. What he had was the mother relic. He could plant a child relic on any female cultivator. The female cultivator who obtains the child relic would receive a different degree of improvement in their cultivation base according to the difference between their cultivation bases. The greater the difference between their cultivation bases, the greater the benefits they would receive. The female cultivator who obtains the child relic would also have a much faster cultivation speed than before. Another benefit was that when the female cultivator's cultivation base improved, Ning Fan's cultivation base would also improve a little. In short, after obtaining the child relic, if Bing Ling and Yu Ling's cultivation base improved again, Ning Fan's cultivation base would also improve accordingly. The inverse relic was an enchanting technique that allowed both men and women to win. In the past, even though Shi Zihua had never plucked any male cultivator, she managed to plant a child relic in the bodies of millions of barbarian male cultivators with just a finger of her finger. After that, her cultivation base improved at an extremely fast speed. The inverse relic had a total of 9 grades. The higher the grade, the stronger the relic would be. Shi Zihua had only cultivated the inverse relic up to the 6th grade in her entire life. As for Ning Fan's inverse relic, it was still at the 1st grade. After the two ladies molded the child relic, 2 faint red Tao marks appeared on Ning Fan's inverse relic. The Tao marks had another name. They were called Charming Breath. If the amount of Charming Breath reaches a certain level, the inverse relic could advance to the next grade. If the inverse relic advances to the 3rd grade, it could use various offensive enchanting techniques to turn the power of the relic into divine abilities. If it advances to the 6th grade, it could activate the power of the Tao Law of Charm. That kind of power could even enchant the Great Tao. There was one more thing about the inverse relic that Ning Fan did not tell Bing Ling and Yu Ling. The female cultivators who had their child relic planted in them would unknowingly have a deeper impression of the owner of the mother relic. Ning Fan did not like to force others to fall in love with him. However, it was fine if they were his human cauldrons. It seemed like his human cauldrons had long been brainwashed and their impression of him had already reached its peak. After listening to Ning Fan's explanation, the two ladies immediately regained their spirits. In other words, as long as we cultivate diligently, we can make Master's cultivation base improve at the same time, right? In that case, even if Master doesn't pluck us, we can still put them to good use. If that's the case, let's gather our sisters and let Master plant a relic for all of us. The two ladies immediately sent out their spirit sense. Very soon, all of the 100,000 human cauldrons were summoned by the two ladies. Ning Fan displayed his ability. The light of the relic illuminated the vast sky like a rising sun. Child relic was immediately produced in each of the human cauldrons. Of course, if any of the female cultivators resisted, they would not be able to produce the inverse relic. The production of the inverse relic had to be voluntary by both parties. This was very important. Otherwise, no matter how high Ning Fan's cultivation base was, he would not be able to do it. After obtaining the child relic, each of the female cultivators' cultivation base began to skyrocket. One after another, they broke through the divine transformation realm and entered the void refinement realm. Everyone's heavenly tribulations were forcefully suppressed by Ning Fan. Now, their cultivation base only improved, but their comprehension did not increase along with it. This was very dangerous. Many human cauldrons had yet to comprehend the divine transformation realm's intent realm, not to mention comprehending the illusory and the real. If they go to face their heavenly tribulations now, the chances of them dying would not be small. All of you, go into seclusion and comprehend your own cultivation base. Ning Fan gave an order to the 100,000 human cauldrons and dismissed the ladies. His eyes seemed to have sensed something, and he looked at a female cultivator whose name was Nalan Zi. Nalan Zi also did not reject Ning Fan's child relic. Is she trying to please Ning Fan? Most likely, it's to beg Ning Fan to save her younger sister. Without knowing why, Ning Fan suddenly recalled the scene where Nalan Zi triggered the three-life technique that day. The three-life technique was a forbidden divination technique of the true spirit purple cuckoo race. Only demon cultivators with the purple cuckoo bloodline had the chance to comprehend this technique. The three-life technique could only be used 3 times in one's life. It could be used to divine all heavenly secrets. After using it 3 times, one would die without a doubt. I saw the future, a terrifying future. The 4 heavens will be isolated and there will be a great war in the northern heaven. After that, the Spirit King will die in the hands of the Western demon ancestor. Ling Er, who was eaten by the Spirit King, will also die. Save Ling Er. She is my younger sister. She can't die. She is still waiting for me to save her. Nalan Zi's divination that day seemed to be echoing in Ning Fan's ears. Who is the Western demon ancestor? What does it mean that the 4 heavens will be isolated? Is there really going to be a great war in the northern heaven? All the women returned to their cave dwellings and began to comprehend their cultivation base in seclusion. Ning Fan remained silent. After a long time, he got rid of the distracting thoughts and looked at the reverse relic in his dantian. On the reverse relic, there were already 100,000 traces of light red charming qi. Among them, there were 1,000 traces of dark red charming qi. A trace of dark red charming qi contained power that was almost 100 times stronger than the light red charming qi. Every time a relic was planted on a nascent soul realm female cultivator, he would get a trace of light red charming qi. As for divine transformation realm female cultivators, they would get a trace of dark red charming qi, 100,000 traces of light red charming qi and 1,000 traces of dark red charming qi were still not enough for the first rank reverse relic to break through to the second rank. It was not that the quantity of charming qi was not enough, but the quality was too inferior. I have to plant the reverse relic on a female cultivator with a higher cultivation base in order to break through to the second rank. Crack crack, 2 crisp sounds suddenly came from afar. It was the sound of the demon cocoon cracking. Zili, I'm awake. Are you awake? I woke up a long time ago. I just wanted to wait for you to wake up so that we can break out of the shell together. 2 rays of joyful light, one golden and the other purple, flew into the sky one after another. Both of them emitted a pressure that was comparable to the peak of the ghost profound realm. Suddenly sensing Ning Fan's presence, 2 women immediately flew towards him. They were Mu Weiliang and Zili. After a long sleep, both of them actually broke through to the peak of the ghost profound realm. What a monstrous aptitude! Ning Fan secretly praised. With the aptitude of these 2 women, it would not take long for them to break through to the crossing true realm. Little butterfly, what did you give those women just now? I wanted too. Mu Weiliang looked like she was about to cry. Even though she had yet to break out of the cocoon, she could vaguely sense that Ning Fan had given the 100,000 human cauldrons some kind of benefit which caused their cultivation base to skyrocket. Biased. How could little butterfly be so biased? She also wanted to have a drastic increase in her cultivation base. She also wanted that kind of benefit. Master, little Z also wants that thing. Is it called the child relic? Zili looked at Ning Fan weakly. Her purple eyes flickered, making her look as pitiful as possible. Ning Fan rubbed his forehead. It seems like I have no choice but to give the 2 women the relic. Forget it. It's something that benefits both men and women. I'll just give it to them. It can also increase their cultivation base a little, right? Thus, Ning Fan planted the child relic in the two women. Immediately, their cultivation base began to skyrocket. From the peak of the Ghost Profound realm, they advanced all the way to the early Crossing True realm. The increase in their cultivation base was not as terrifying as that of the 100,000 human cauldrons. It was because the gap between their cultivation base and Ning Fan's was relatively small. Thus, it was already not bad for them to have such an effect. Biased. Little butterfly, you're biased. Those nascent soul realm women have already broken through a few great realms. I have only broken through a single realm. Don't you love me anymore? Boo. While pretending to cry, Mu Weiliang peeked at Ning Fan through the gaps between her fingers. All she saw was Ning Fan's expression, which did not know whether to laugh or cry. Since pretending to cry was useless, Mu Weiliang began to act cute and act coquettishly. After easily getting a promise from Ning Fan, she felt satisfied. When I leave the wild wilderness and return to Eastern Heaven, I will help you break through to the Renhuang Void Realm. How about that? Ning Fan said that with the intention of coaxing Mu Weiliang. However, as soon as the words left his mouth, his eyes immediately widened. It was clearly just a promise to coax a child. However, it suddenly made Ning Fan's heart beat wildly. Faintly, he felt an indescribable mysterious feeling. This feeling of heartbeat seemed to be the feeling of the Renhuang Void Realm tribulation that was recorded in the ancient records. Unfortunately, that feeling only lasted for a moment. When he tried to capture it again, he could not find it no matter how hard he tried. After the battle with In Mo, even though Ning Fan had gained a lot of understanding about breaking through to the Renhuang Void Realm, he still could not find his own heart tribulation. However, the words he said to Mu Weiliang slightly touched the location of the heart tribulation. What exactly is my heart tribulation? For the first time, Ning Fan thought about this question. If he could find his own heart tribulation, breaking through to the Renhuang Void Realm would not be difficult. Chapter 954. Unfortunately, the Void Heavenly Tribulation was too elusive. No matter how hard Ning Fan tried to recall it 100 times, he still could not find the feeling of impending tribulation. His thoughts were quickly interrupted by the chatter of the two girls. It was very noisy, but it did not make people feel annoyed. Instead, there was a faint warmth. Little butterfly, I'm hungry. I slept for a long time and haven't eaten yet. Mu Weiliang acted cute. Master, I'm hungry too. Can you let the two of us out of the realm to hunt for food? Zili pretended to be pitiful. When Ning Fan heard that, he could not help but recall the time when he comprehended the Tao and became an immortal in the blood world of the Big Dipper. During that period of time, these two little girls would often form a team to hunt second-step demonic beasts. They called it foraging, and it seemed that they had even earned the fierce name of the Purple Gold Double Fiends. Foraging, huh? What a unique hobby! It was a pity that they hadn't left the Barbarian Flash's passage yet. Even if the two little girls went out, they wouldn't have a place to look for food. Don't leave the profound Een world for the time being. I still have some 1,000,000-year-old spiritual herbs here. Take them and eat them first. Oh right, I have already helped you to temporarily suppress your true heavenly tribulation. When you understand the true path, you will attract the heavenly tribulation. With a point of his finger, 1,000,000-years-old spiritual herbs instantly piled up in front of the two ladies like a small mountain. These were all the resources that he had obtained during the great calamity of the uncultivated desolate land. Of the two women, one had a terrifying physical body, and the other was born in Yeli. Now, they both had the cultivation of early-stage Duzhen. It was not difficult for them to directly refine the 1,000,000-year-old spiritual medicine. Little butterfly, you're so nice. I love you the most. Mu Weiliang hugged Ning Fan and gave him a kiss. Then, together with Zili, they took a huge pile of spiritual herbs and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Ning Fan touched the wet part of his face. Faintly, he felt his heart fluctuate again. As expected, my heart-abandoning space tribulation is related to the slight coldness. The butterfly and Weiliang originated from the past. Their karma was very deep. However, in the next life, they would still be entangled together. Perhaps it was because of this reason that his heart tribulation was related to Whale Yang, slightly cool, slightly cool. Ning Fan closed his eyes. As if he was replaying the scenes in his mind, the memories of the burning butterfly wings reappeared in his mind. The cultivators who roared and died in battle in the ancient heavenly court, the giant gate of the heavenly court, the unstoppable immortal Emperor Zhangqing, and the butterfly that destroyed the Zhangqing's one eye at the cost of its own life. Strange phenomena of the true illusion river and the bridge began to appear around Ning Fan. He was clearly standing on the bridge of the first river, but the reflection under the river seemed to be broken and incomplete. That reflection was vaguely a butterfly that had sacrificed itself for the heavenly courts, but it didn't seem to be. If the reflection is no longer broken and becomes complete, Ning Fan was confident that he could break through the bottleneck of void shedding in one go. What should he do to bring down the heart tribulation? What should he do to make those broken reflections complete? After a long time, the strange phenomenon disappeared. Ning Fan opened his eyes regretfully. As expected, he still couldn't trigger the heart tribulation. Never mind, let's put the matter of the heart tribulation aside for now. The eyeball monster gave me 2 Khanate Dharma treasures. The names of these 2 Dharma treasures are too unpleasant. I have to give them new names. Ning Fan pointed his finger. Under a flash of red light, 2 more Dharma treasures appeared in the sky. Both of them emitted a vast Khanate aura. One of them was the Khanate stone memorial arch called the Small Memorial Arch. The other one was the heaven-defying divine bottle called the Small Green Bottle. The former could gather spiritual chi from all directions, while the latter could allow the candle bow's bow spirit to have the possibility of advancing to the Khanate realm. Both of them were not offensive or defensive Dharma treasures, but they were very practical. This memorial arch can gather spiritual chi from all directions. Let's call it the Spirit Congregating Gate. This Dharma treasure will be the gateway to the Eastern Profound Een world. It will gather the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and help the human cauldrons cultivate. Ning Fan pointed his finger, and the Spirit Congregating Gate immediately turned into an immortal gate that was 10,000 zhang tall. It fell from the sky and suppressed the place where the human cauldrons gathered. All of a sudden, the spiritual chi from all directions gathered towards this place. With 100,000 human cauldrons meditating here, their cultivation speed would increase by more than 10 times. Of course, the faster the cultivation speed of the human cauldrons, the more Ning Fan who had the mother relic. He could also obtain more benefits. This green bottle seems to be able to gather the power of the 5 elements and help the Dharma treasure spirit to increase its grade. Let's call it the 5 elements bottle. I'll give this item to those little girls to play with. Ning Fan flipped his hand and took out a sword pouch and opened it. All of a sudden, 5 noisy voices could be heard. Little Fan, long time no see. Big sister misses you so much. Second sister has comprehended a sword technique. Weak Fan, please spar with me. Woo. Hua bullied me. Little Fan, please help third sister take revenge. I didn't bully Shui. It was Tong who did it. No. It wasn't me. The little stutterer named Tong said anxiously. All right. Mu Weiliang and Zili, the 2 noisy girls, just left. Now, there are 5 more of them. The 5 sword spirit girls flew out of the sword pouch and chattered nonstop. When they were tired of arguing, Ning Fan slowly introduced the effects of the 5 elements bottle. As soon as they heard that the 5 elements bottle could help them increase the grade of their sword spirits, the 5 girls stopped making noise. They took the bottle and ran away from the profound Een world. They probably went to borrow the 5 elements bottle to cultivate. Ning Fan, who had regained his tranquility, chuckled. Unfortunately, sword spirits were weapon spirits. They could not plant any relics. Otherwise, they could also improve the strength of the 5 girls by leaps and bounds. However, with the 5 elements bottle, even if they could not advance to the innate grade, they would most likely not be able to escape the lesser innate grade. No matter what, they can't be weaker than the candle bow. Speaking of which, without the candle bow, I don't know what to do with this innate purple gourd. To Ning Fan, who possessed the heaven-opening treasure, innate magical treasures were no longer rare items. It was not important whether he wanted to use this gourd to refine it into an innate magical treasure. Fine. I'll keep the purple gourd first. It might come in handy in the future. After doing all that, Ning Fan looked at his dantian again. The cracks on the god-vanquishing shield were too hideous. It was not easy for him to withstand the fake immortal lord's finger attack. Ning Fan felt slightly helpless. His level of weapon refinement was trash. He did not have the confidence to perfectly repair the heaven-opening treasure. Unfortunately, the eyeball monster had left too early. Otherwise, with his level of weapon refinement, he probably would have a way to repair the god-vanquishing shield. The only thing he could do now was to return to the eastern heaven and find a way to repair the god-vanquishing shield. Thump thump. Thump thump. Thump thump. A strange heartbeat sound suddenly came from the western world of the profound Een realm. It was from the direction of Ning Fan's cave. That heartbeat sound blended into the mountains and seas. Only barbarian cultivators could hear it. This heartbeat sound belongs to the seventh ancestor. Ning Fan's figure flashed and arrived in the cave of the western world. He stared coldly at the stone statue of the seventh ancestor in front of him. The seventh ancestor's stone statue was constantly emitting heartbeat sounds. That sound was getting louder and louder. It sounded like thunder to the barbarian cultivators. As the heartbeat grew louder, the seventh ancestor's body was gradually petrified. In just a few breaths' time, the seventh ancestor completely removed his petrified state and returned to normal. I didn't expect the ninth barbarian god to kill me. Did I miscalculate again? Fortunately, I was prepared. The seventh ancestor's eyes gradually regained their focus. Only then did he notice that this place was not the highest floor of the Nine Heavens Imperial Court, but an unfamiliar cave. In front of him was a young man in white robes who was unfamiliar yet familiar at the same time. Fellow Taoist, you look a little familiar. Have I seen you before? The seventh ancestor looked at Ning Fan with a smile. However, he was secretly on guard. Ning Fan's chi field was a little strange. Even though he was just at the peak of crossing Truth Realm, he gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. At this moment, Ning Fan had already taken off his ghost mask. The seventh ancestor did not know that Ning Fan was the mysterious expert who destroyed the stone door with a single sword strike. He looks very familiar. Very familiar. Even though I have been separated from my true self for countless years, I must have seen his face somewhere before. Where is it? That's right. It's there. You are the butterfly that flew over from the desolate ancient era. You are the Sword Master's Tao companion. You are the laughingstock of the desolate ancient immortal domain. I have seen you before in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Interesting. Interesting. You are the butterfly who destroyed the one eye of love. In this life, you should be called Ning Fan. However, there is no record of this in the 6 paths of reincarnation. It was me who deduced it using the karma chessboard. Strange. According to my deduction, you have the fate of Tao controller. If there are no accidents, you should be the best fodder for the 5th fragment. I really don't know what my true self did. I actually let you live. Could it be that there was a change in the plan? Unfortunately, I have been separated from my true self for many years. I don't know the details. The 7th ancestor slightly frowned. Of course, he did not know that Ning Fan had once tainted his own luck and turned himself into Fu Li to avoid the scheme of his true self, Immortal Emperor Fortune Controller. He also did not know that Si Ming was already dead in Ning Fan's hands. The plan of Fortune Controller had more than just a little change. He also did not know that the current Ning Fan was already very different from the past. The result of his deduction in the past was very different. Your chi is very strange. However, it doesn't scare me. Since we have met here, I will capture you along the way and bring you back to the southern heaven. Then I will directly feed the 5th fragment. I think you will also be a good fodder. The 7th ancestor flipped his hand and pressed it. All of a sudden, 7 rays of 7-colored light flew out from his sleeves and headed straight for Ning Fan's face. These 7 rays of light were silent, but they had destructive power. It was enough to injure most of the Zero Tribulation immortals. In the seventh ancestor's opinion, it should not be difficult to capture a mere fodder with such a powerful ability. However, he had obviously underestimated Ning Fan's strength. You talk a lot. However, I am very interested in some of the things you said. Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly serious. He raised his hand and pressed it against the 7 rays of light. Surprisingly, he crushed them effortlessly. The only one who could do that was an immortal venerable who had reached the first tribulation of all time. The seventh ancestor's expressions suddenly changed. He knew that he had underestimated Ning Fan's strength. He made a series of hand seals with both of his hands, as if he wanted to use his trump card to fight against Ning Fan. Ning Fan, however, did not give the seventh ancestor the chance to use his ability at all. He directly released the punishment power of the 36 mountains. The golden aura force was so strong that it shook heaven and earth. It pressed the seventh ancestor to the ground like a dead dog. He could not move at all and was drenched in cold sweat. What a terrifying punishment power! Impossible! You are not the barbarian god. How can you have the punishment power? You are the newly born barbarian god. The seventh ancestor seemed to have understood something in an instant. His expression was filled with fear. It was even more frightening than when he saw Nemo. How is this possible? A mere fodder can actually become the barbarian god? This is too different from what I deduced. It doesn't even match the deduction of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Even though there was a rumor in ancient times that Tao-enforcing cultivators could go against the destiny of the samsara and create some variables, the variables that Ning Fan created in the samsara were just too great. A person who could create such a huge variable in the samsara would certainly be a peerless immortal sovereign if he went against the samsara. Could it be that this young man actually has the potential to reach the 4th step? Actually regarded a Tao-enforcing cultivator with such potential as fodder? Desolate Ancient, Swordmaster, Emotion Palm, 6 paths of reincarnation, the 5th fragment. You seem to know a lot of secrets. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He was never a kind person. Since the 7th ancestor dared to attack him, he would have to bear the consequences. Banged. As soon as Ning Fan uttered that word, the 7th ancestor's body crumbled bit by bit in the golden light. In the past, Nemo had already rendered the 7th ancestor defenseless with just the power of the 3 punishment mountains. Now, Ning Fan had already suppressed the 7th ancestor with the power of the 36 punishment mountains. The 7th ancestor was like an ant that he could kill with just a lift of his hand. This is too terrifying. With the power of this young man's punishment mountains, he can even suppress the saints of the barbarian race. I'm not his match at all. I must run. The 7th ancestor struggled, wanting to let a trace of his remnant soul escape. However, it was futile. Ning Fan raised his hand and caught him. The 7th ancestor's memories were too fragmented. Ordinary soul-searching techniques could not read those fragmented memories at all. Ning Fan then used the reverse spirit technique of the true dragon race. Instantly, he found some complete parts of the 7th ancestor's fragmented memories. I was originally the 7th ancestor of the Fan family. My name was Fan Maka. I was abandoned by the tribulation spirits. I fought my way out of the encirclement. I seized a karma beast, abandoning the cultivation base of the barbarian race, cultivating my primordial spirit for the fortune manipulator immortal emperor, plotting against the disciple of the sacred sect, Zhang Dao, obtaining the 5th fragment. When I fight with my full strength, I can fight against a 3rd-grade quasi-saint. Then I entered the illusory world by mistake, looking for a chance to take revenge on the Tribulation Spirit clan. From now on, this body will be the 2nd primordial spirit. I will stay in the desolate world for now. If there is a chance, I will seize the cultivation base of the 9th barbarian god Nemo, merge with the ancient barbarian grave, search for the 6th fragment. Among the fragmented memories, this was the only thing that could be seen clearly. Bang! Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He directly crushed the 7th ancestor's remnant soul and used the destructive power of punishment. Even though the seventh ancestor's memories were very fragmented, Ning Fan still managed to obtain a lot of information from them. For example, the seventh ancestor's purpose of looking for Nemo was to obtain the sixth fragment of the ancient barbarian grave. For example, the seventh ancestor had plotted against the disciple of the sacred sect and obtained the fifth fragment. As for the information that made Ning Fan want to kill him, it was the seventh ancestor's true identity. He was the second primordial spirit of the fortune manipulator immortal emperor. Fortune manipulator. Fortune manipulator again. First it was Si Ming. Now it was the seventh ancestor. I didn't expect fortune manipulator immortal emperor to have so many arrangements in the desolate world. But unfortunately, both of them still died in my hands. The fifth fragment. The sixth fragment. The fragments mentioned in the seventh ancestor's memories. Could it be that they are the fragments of the god-destroying shield? Could it be that the fortune manipulator immortal emperor also has a fragment in his possession? In the seventh ancestor's memories, he seemed to have mentioned that the fortune manipulator immortal emperor could match a third-grade quasi-saint in a battle with his full strength. This seems to be a memory from countless years ago. Did the fortune manipulator immortal emperor already have such strength in the past? However, why was his cultivation base only at the immortal emperor realm when he appeared in front of the world? Was he deliberately hiding his cultivation base? Or is there something else? Ning Fan took a deep breath and gradually calmed down the excitement in his heart. Originally, he thought that he could compete with the fortune manipulator immortal emperor after obtaining the god-destroying shield. Now, it seemed like his cultivation base was still not enough. There would definitely be a battle between him and the fortune manipulator immortal emperor, but now was not the time. He did not expect that he could unexpectedly learn so many things from the seventh ancestor's memories. As a result, his understanding of the fortune manipulator immortal emperor had deepened by a lot. However, there was one thing that was unfortunate. The seventh ancestor's memories about the ancient desolation, sword master, and the butterfly were all fragmented. He could not see them clearly. The seventh ancestor seemed to know many things about the ancient times. Unfortunately, he could not understand those things from his memories. Fortune manipulator immortal emperor. Ning Fan raised his hand and destroyed the karma thread that was left in the cave after the seventh ancestor was killed. In the past, he could not do that. Today, he could do it by borrowing a trace of the power of the god-destroying shield. So the second primordial spirit is still dead. I can't divine the result. Was it Nemo who killed it? But who is the one who killed Nemo? I can't divine the result. In the fortune manipulator immortal palace in the southern heaven immortal world. The fortune manipulator immortal emperor who was in seclusion to heal his injuries suddenly frowned. Then he relaxed. It's fine if I can't divine the result. Si Ming is already dead. The second primordial spirit is also dead. All of his schemes have failed in the end. Hopefully, my last scheme won't fail. The seven slaughter emperors still have the year 1872. The day when the seven slaughter emperors fall will be the day when the Calamity Clan sends out their troops. I am looking forward to that battle very much. The fortune manipulator immortal palace smiled and closed his eyes. At the same time, the entire fortune manipulator immortal palace began its 1872 seclusion and disappeared from the starry sky. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed since the chaos in the desolate world. 2 years ago, Ning Fan and his companions left the desolate world and entered the passage of Manshan. After that, the cultivators of the human race and the demon race led by Miao Yen also left the desolate world one after another. As for the group of immortal emperors, they succeeded in sealing the ancient immortal gate after a series of efforts. In the end, the immortal gate was taken away by the Tongtian ancient emperor. Surprisingly, the demon race did not have a dispute over it. No outsiders knew what kind of agreement had been reached between the human race and the demon race. The desolate ancient domain which served as the battlefield between the two races was completely abandoned. The passages that connected the desolate world to the desolate world were also closed. Before the emperors returned, the news of the desolate world had already spread to their respective sects, shocking countless cultivators in the four heavens and demon heavens. 2 years passed in a flash. The cultivators who entered the desolate world had also returned to the four heavens and demon heavens one after another. However, the commotion caused by the calamity had yet to subside. It was said that during the chaos, countless low-level cultivators had died. There were even 19 immortal emperors who died in the calamity. It was said that 2 third-grade quasi-saints had appeared in the desolate world and had a shocking battle. However, very few people knew the details. It was said that the True Dragon clan was using the entire clan's strength to unseal something. It would take 7,000 years. The Four Seas sect had also sent many experts to the True Dragon clan to help them complete the task. It was also said that the Tong Tian ancient emperor and the leader of the True Dragon clan had ordered their clans to stop fighting for 7,000 years. There was also a strange rumor that spread in the circle above the Broken Thought realm. After returning to their respective sects, many immortal emperors and quasi-saints, including the Tong Tian ancient emperor and the leader of the True Dragon clan, ordered their subordinates to start building the Tower of Fate. The Tower of Fate was an ancient building. The process of building it was extremely complicated. It would be difficult to complete it without at least 100 years of effort. There was only one use for it, and that was to offer a portion of one's fate as an offering to the cultivator who was enshrined in the tower. Who was the one who was so influential to make so many immortal emperors build the Tower of Fate and give up their own fate as an offering? Many forces sent people to inquire about it, but they couldn't find any information about it at all. All the people who knew about it were ordered to keep their mouths shut. They didn't dare to leak any information. Only a few old monsters above the immortal emperor realm spent a lot of effort to find out the truth. However, they kept their mouths shut and didn't mention anything about it. Eastern Heaven, Chaotic Devil Star, Thousand-Year Sect. The Thousand-Year Sect was a sect full of legends. There were 2 peerless figures in the sect. One of them was the first sect leader of the Thousand-Year Sect, Old Ancestor Qianqiu. He once swept away all the Void Refinement Realm experts in the Chaotic Devil Star region with his late Divine Transformation Realm cultivation base. The second peerless figure was also called Old Ancestor Qianqiu. However, he was even more powerful and domineering than the first Old Ancestor Qianqiu. This person seemed to have descended from the sky and directly landed in the Thousand-Year Sect. He swept away the Chaotic Devil Star region with his own strength and escaped from the Seven Fiends sect. After that, he killed hundreds of immortals and became a peerless devil. After that, he defeated the younger generation of the Eastern Heaven and became the disciple of the Slaughter Hall. After that, this person continued to rise and broke through to the second step. He even fought in the tomb of the Godly Void Pavilion and obtained the title of Immortal Monarch of Rain. It was said that this person was the disciple of the ancient Chaos Great Emperor. He had a background that made the secret race retreat. It was said that this person had disappeared for 100 years. Some people suspected that he was already dead. Some people also suspected that he was in seclusion to break through to the next realm. This person's name was Ning Fan. Perhaps he was not famous in the other 3 heavens, but he had already made a name for himself in the Eastern Heaven. Today, the Thousand-Year Sect was filled with people. There was no longer any trace of an evil sect's atmosphere. Most of the cultivators who came here were here to visit the old residence of the Immortal Monarch of Rain with admiration. Most of them were first-step cultivators. There were also a few second-step life Immortal Realm cultivators. In this world, there were definitely not many people who could continuously rise as rogue cultivators and establish the title of Immortal Monarch. Ning Fan was one of the best among them. He was worthy of the admiration of many low-level cultivators. Let's walk around and take a look. Don't miss it. This stone cave is the place where the Immortal Monarch of Rain went into seclusion. It is said that the Immortal Monarch's comprehension is still inside. Only the fated ones can obtain it. A devil cultivator of the Thousand-Year Sect stood outside a small stone cave. He was collecting money and shouting at the same time. Suddenly, countless cultivators squeezed their heads to pay and entered the stone cave. Is this an ordinary iron or a supreme devil sword? This sword was used by the immortal monarch of rain to kill a group of devils. His life was stained with countless blood. Every time you touch it, 100 Tao crystals. A devil cultivator held a heavy iron sword and shouted. Suddenly, many cultivators came to touch the devil sword. The secret scroll of the Nightmare Palace, the collection of the Devil Tao. As the successor of the ancient Chaos Great Emperor, the immortal monarch of rain naturally cultivated a supreme bewitching technique. It is said that he once killed his way into the female devil's sect, the undressing sect. That battle was so erotic. This secret scroll describes the glory of the immortal monarch of rain fighting against 10,000 people in detail. There are 3,000 illustrations. It is only sold for 500 Tao crystals. Hurry up and buy it. Another devil cultivator shouted. It immediately attracted the interest of many wretched male cultivators. In the main hall of the Thousand-Year Sect, a few elders of the Thousand-Year Sect were tasting spiritual tea and spiritual fruits with smiles on their faces. Ever since they used Ning Fan's name to scare people and earn money, hundreds of cultivators came to visit the Thousand-Year Sect almost every day. Every day, they would receive a large amount of Tao crystals. With such financial support, be it the elders or disciples of the Thousand-Year Sect, their cultivation bases had improved greatly. In the past, we were just outer sect disciples of the Thousand-Year Sect. We had no hope of reaching the harmonious spirit realm in this lifetime. We were sent out to carry out a mission, but luckily, we managed to avoid the calamity of having our sect annihilated. We lost our sect and became rogue cultivators. It was extremely miserable. I can't bear to look back on the past. An elder of the Thousand-Year Sect said with a sigh. Fortunately, the immortal monarch of rain's reputation has risen. We also have a chance to make a fortune. With our huge financial resources, we can actually form our cores step by step and reach the nascent soul realm. Even though we don't have a divine transformation realm expert in our sect, with the banner of the immortal monarch of rain, even some life immortal realm old monsters have to be polite to us. When they said that, a few elders were beaming with joy and high spirits. At this moment, in the sky above the Thousand-Year Sect, loud noises sounded one after another. They sounded like rumbling thunder. At the next moment, a red ray of light that looked like a crack appeared in the middle of the countless noises. When that red ray of light cracked, it directly shattered the void. Then, a dark red spirit boat sailed out from it. At the bow of the spirit boat stood a white-robed young man with black hair. Looking at the familiar starry sky of the eastern sky, he smiled faintly. "You're back." Chapter 955. The appearance of the vessel was too shocking. Countless cultivators on the Chaos Demon Star came out from their caves and glanced at the sky in astonishment. With such a terrifying momentum, could it be that a second-step life immortal has arrived at the Chaos Devil Star? In the Thousand-Year Sect, there were a few second-step life immortals who came to visit. When they saw the spirit boat, they all wanted to fly into the void to check it out. However, before these old monsters could even get close, an extremely vast divine sense that was as gentle as rain suddenly swept over everyone here. After being swept by the divine will, the life immortals felt their hearts pounding. The power of this divine will was beyond their imagination. How could they dare to run onto the spirit vessel to take a look? Obviously, they'd realized that there was a mighty old monster with an extremely high cultivation on the spirit vessel. Du Zhen, it must be old monster Du Zhen. He must be at least in the crossing truth realm to be able to make us so terrified. Within this person's divine sense, rain will is assaulting my face. Obviously, he has already comprehended the Tao of rain to an extremely deep level. Could it be that he's also here to visit the Rain Immortal Monarch's abode? No. This person is the Rain Immortal Lord. Finally, a life immortal realm old monster saw Ning Fan's face clearly with his acquired Dharma eyes that he had cultivated for many years. The words of the life immortal realm old monster spread across the entire Chaos Demon Star in an instant. Thus, the entire Chaos Devil Star was instantly seething with excitement. Most of the cultivators who visited the chaotic Devil Star were full of admiration for Ning Fan's legendary experiences. Now that they had the chance to witness the Rain Immortal Monarch's glory with their own eyes, how could they not be excited? Countless cultivators shouted at the sky, "Welcome back to the Thousand-Year Sect, Rain Immortal Lord." Ning Fan was slightly taken aback. He did not expect that the coordinates he used to return to the Eastern Heaven would be near the Thousand-Year Sect on the chaotic Devil Star. He had never expected that he would receive such a grand welcome from the cultivators of the chaotic Devil Star the moment he showed himself. Clang. The Thousand-Year Sect's elders, who had been so proud of themselves, dropped their teacups onto the ground. They were all dumbfounded. They had never dreamed that the Rain Deity Lord would return to their small sect one day. This isn't good. This isn't good. In the past few years, the Qianqiu sect had always been holding Ning Fan's banner high and earning a lot of Dao crystals. Originally, the dignified Rain Immortal Monarch would never put a small nascent soul realm sect like them in his eyes. Who would have thought that after disappearing for 100 years, Ning Fan would actually personally come to the Thousand-Year Sect? Was he here to denounce her? Was he here to destroy the sect? Once the Rain Immortal Sovereign was enraged, she dared to slaughter 100 immortals and destroy a star domain. She was a peerlessly ominous star. When they thought of how they had fabricated and drawn the painting of Ning Fan having sex with tens of thousands of female cultivators a few days ago, the group of elders of the Thousand Years sect broke out in cold sweat and their bodies trembled. It's over, we're dead meat. Since they dared to use Ning Fan's Fruit Palace painting to earn money, Ning Fan would certainly tear them apart alive. The few elders were scared out of their wits. They rushed out of the main hall and kowtowed to the giant spirit ship in the sky, tears and snot flowing down their faces. "Spare me, Rain Lord. I have an 800-year-old mother and a 3-year-old child. I don't want to die. I know my mistake. I really know my mistake. From today onwards, I won't dare to use the name of an immortal sovereign to scare people anymore. I'm willing to work like an ox or a horse for the immortal sovereign. I beg the immortal sovereign to spare my life." The cries of the few elders formed a sharp contrast with the respectful greetings of the tens of thousands of cultivators. Ning Fan could not help but feel curious. With a flash, he flew down from the spirit ship and landed in the Thousand-Year Sect. In front of him was a devil cultivator of the Thousand Years sect who was selling the Fruit Palace books. He was only at the vein opening realm. As soon as he saw Ning Fan descending, he was so frightened that he fell to the ground. The books in his hands fell to the ground and were flipped open by the wind. Ning Fan's eyes happened to glance at the few Fruit Palace books. When he saw that the various nude illustrations in the books were obviously of himself, his face immediately darkened. Then, he raised his hand and pulled the devil cultivator who was selling the books towards him. Then, he used the reverse spirit technique to search his soul. After that, his expression became even darker. "Thousand-Year Sect, how dare you use me as a gimmick to earn money?" From the devil cultivator's memories, Ning Fan learned about all the major events that happened in Eastern Heaven in the past 100 years. For example, the Extreme Lightning Palace, the Battle King Luo clan and the Extreme Pill Sacred Region. He did not expect so many things to happen in Eastern Heaven after he went to the Desolate Land. The vein-opening realm devil cultivator who had his soul searched by Ning Fan was almost scared out of his wits. In his mind, those who had their souls searched would definitely turn into idiots. However, the truth was that other than feeling a little dizzy, the vein-opening realm devil cultivator did not suffer any sequelae from the soul searching. What kind of soul-searching technique is this? It's actually so mysterious. As expected of the Rain Immortal Monarch. He even knows such a technique. Many of the cultivators who were like brainless fans of the Rain Immortal Monarch praised. "Immortal Monarch, please spare our lives. We really know our mistakes." When the group of Qianqiu elders saw Ning Fan's expression darkened, they cried even more miserably. "What are you crying for? Did I say that I want to kill anyone?" Ning Fan frowned. He had killed countless people in his life, but he would never kill indiscriminately. Even though he was extremely dissatisfied with the actions of the Thousand Years sect, This matter did not touch his reverse scale. Thus, he would not go to the extent of killing people for such trivial matters. All of you leave now. The few of you come over here. I have something to ask you. Ning Fan's expression darkened slightly. He dismissed the group of cultivators who came to visit and walked into the main hall. The few Qianqiu elders lowered their heads like chicks pecking at grains and followed Ning Fan into the main hall with trembling bodies. Looking at the main hall of the Thousand Years sect, which looked familiar yet strange, Ning Fan's expression softened slightly. In the past, when he first entered the Eastern Heaven, he suffered serious injuries and went into seclusion in the Thousand Years sect to recuperate. After that, incidents happened one after another. He killed his way out of the chaotic Devil Star region and began his infamous journey to the Eastern Heaven. Gradually, he gained the devil name of Old Ancestor Qianqiu. Unexpectedly, after returning to the Eastern Heaven from the wild wilderness, he actually returned to this place. Is this considered as revisiting an old place? However, Ning Fan vaguely remembered that the cultivators of the Thousand Years sect should have all died in the past. He did not expect that there were still some remaining cultivators which allowed the sect to remain standing until today. It was really rare. I really have some fate with this Thousand Years sect. When he thought of this, Ning Fan sighed inwardly. Just as he let out this sigh, he had a feeling that his heart of renunciation tribulation was about to descend again. It was that fleeting feeling again. When he tried to capture it again, there was no trace of it. Ning Fan's face immediately turned solemn. Initially, he thought that his heart of renunciation tribulation was related to Whaleyong. However, it seemed like it was related to something else. The path of renunciation that was initially clear seemed to be a little lost again. What exactly is my heart of renunciation tribulation? When the few elders saw Ning Fan's uncertain expression, they could not help but feel nervous. They were waiting for Ning Fan's final judgment. Life and death were all in Ning Fan's hands. After a long time, Ning Fan suddenly let out a long sigh and said indifferently to them, "I don't want to search your souls. All of you, tell me everything that you have done in the past few years. If you haven't crossed my bottom line, it's not like I can't forgive you." As soon as they heard that they still had a chance to live, they were overjoyed. Naturally, they did not dare to hide anything and told him everything that they had done in the past few years. For example, after decorating a shabby stone cave, they lied and said that it was Ning Fan's cave dwelling for seclusion. For example, they purposely forged a heavy sword made of ordinary iron that did not have any power and lied that it was the supreme devil sword that Ning Fan had used before. Only people with a clear mind would be able to see through the mysteries of this sword. In recent years, they had become more and more daring. They actually drew Ning Fan's palace painting and sold it. According to rumors, this palace painting was not only popular among male cultivators but also many female cultivators. As for the reason, of course, it was because Ning Fan's nude paintings were very pleasing to the eyes and suited the tastes of these ladies. The more Ning Fan listened to them, the more he did not know whether to laugh or cry. These cultivators of the Thousand Years sect were really talented. They actually came up with such a way to make money. Even though they were just a sect with a nascent soul realm cultivator, the wealth that they had accumulated was even more than some life immortal realm sects. Most importantly, these people still knew how to use Ning Fan as their leader. Even though the sect had a lot of money, no one actually dared to be greedy. "What are your names?" "I'm Zhao Yukai. I'm full of money." "I'm Sun Devu. I'm Li Jinshan." Judging from the names of these four people, they were all experts in making money. Ning Fan's gaze swept across the four elders of the Thousand Years sect. Then he walked out of the main hall and looked at the scenery of the Thousand Years sect. Then he looked at his own body and recalled the feeling of the heart tribulation. After a few breaths, a thought formed in Ning Fan's mind. Initially, he was still worried about where to settle the 700,000 barbarians. Now, he finally had a place to settle them. 2 years ago, Ning Fan used the barbarian god's might to extract the Tao soul of the desolate lands and changed the law that prevented barbarians from leaving the desolate lands. Then, he led the barbarians out of the desolate lands. After that, Ning Fan helplessly discovered that even though these barbarians could leave the desolate lands, there were still some of them who could not enter any spatial spaces of the world treasures. Moreover, among these barbarians, only a small number of them could regain their qualifications to cultivate. The rest of them were still mortals who could not cultivate. Even in the four heavens, not all mortals had the qualifications to cultivate to become immortals. Vein-opening realm required aptitude and resources. The situation of the barbarians was reasonable. In that case, how to settle these barbarians had become a problem. There were bound to be some barbarians who could not fit the spatial treasures. He could not just drive the spirit boat that was filled with barbarians wherever he went, right? After returning to the Eastern Heaven this time, there were still many things that he needed to do. It was very troublesome to fly the spirit boat around randomly. Speaking of which, the 1,000 Years sect on the chaotic Devil Star was a good place to settle. This place belonged to a low-grade star region. The cultivators here were generally not strong and there were not many strong enemies. Even if there were some experts, most of them were afraid of Ning Fan's devil reputation and did not dare to act rashly. If he left one or two methods to protect the barbarians here, he would certainly be able to protect their lives. All of you used my name to make a profit without restraint. I can let bygones be bygones. However, from today onwards, this star and this sect belong to me. Do you have any objections? Ning Fan said indifferently. His tone, however, carried an undeniable meaning. When Zhao Yukai and the others heard that Ning Fan had the intention to take over the 1,000 Years sect, how would they dare to reject him? As long as they could keep their lives in Ning Fan's hands, they did not dare to have extravagant hopes. Since all of you have no objections, from today onwards, I will be the leader of the 1,000 Year sect. Hence, the first thing Ning Fan did after returning to the Eastern Heaven was to recruit the cultivators of the 1,000 Years sect and even the entire chaotic Devil Star. He then proclaimed himself as the sect master of the 1,000 Years sect. On the chaotic Devil Star, the person with the highest cultivation base was only at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. How would they dare to reject Ning Fan's offer? Within a day, all of them joined the 1,000 Years sect and acknowledged Ning Fan as their sect master. In the past, Ning Fan was called Old Ancestor Qianqiu by others. Today, however, he had really become the sect master of Qianqiu. In the Eastern Heaven, he had his own sect for the second time. The first time was naturally to subdue a group of cultivators from the Six Desires sect. After becoming the sect master of the 1,000 Years sect, Ning Fan clearly felt that he had taken a huge step forward towards the descent of the samsara void tribulation. Even though he did not trigger the heart tribulation immediately, the matter of him inheriting the position of the 1,000 Autumn sect master had vaguely pointed out the direction for him to break through the void, renounce emptiness, renounce emptiness. Others would have to give up something in order to achieve a breakthrough. However, Ning Fan did not seem to be like that. Well, it was no wonder. His Tao was stubbornness. If he gives up something, it would be the same as abandoning his Tao. Thus, he naturally would not do such a thing. The path of renouncing emptiness that he took seemed to be different from most of the cultivators who renounce emptiness. What exactly is my samsara void tribulation? Ning Fan still did not have an answer to this question. He opened up a 10,000 li forbidden area near the 1,000 Years sect as the place for the 700,000 barbarians to stay. Building a city for the barbarians once again made Ning Fan take a huge step towards the descent of the heart tribulation. However, the reason was still unknown, as the leader of the barbarians, Zhao Dai, decided to stay in Ning Fan's 1,000 Years sect as an elder in name to protect the barbarians in this place. Currently, Zhao Dai was fortunate enough to regain her cultivation qualifications. Moreover, she had obtained the child relic from Ning Fan. Her cultivation base was already at the early divine transformation realm. In the chaotic Devil Star region where a void fragmentation realm cultivator could easily dominate the world, such a cultivation base was already considered not weak. However, it was obviously not enough to support a sect. Zhao was not the only one who decided to stay. Lu Yen had also decided to stay in the 1,000 Years sect as an elder. She had already completed the harmonious spirit realm of the star compass. However, she did not want to return to her hometown in the 3000 Thunder Realm. Once her master died, that place would no longer be her hometown. She was unwilling to go back. Instead, she was more willing to stay in Ningfan's sect and do some things. Lu Yen was once the sect master of the White Lightning sect. Thus, she was very good at managing the sect. After obtaining the child relic, her cultivation base skyrocketed to the mid-human profound realm. She only needed to comprehend something before she could trigger the heavenly tribulation. If Lu Yen stays, the 1,000 Years sect would have someone to manage it. Moreover, it would have the combat power of a life-immortal realm cultivator. Of course, Ningfan would not be at ease if Lu Yen was the only one guarding the place. Ningfan went to the forbidden area of the barbarian city and took out the ancient devil puppet. This puppet had already fused with the puppet's heart and gained some spiritual intelligence. Besides, it was completely loyal to Ningfan. As soon as it was summoned, the ancient devil puppet immediately knelt before Ningfan. Arhati greets my master. The ancient devil puppet had the cultivation base of the early shedding void realm. With it protecting the 1,000 Years sect, only mid-shedding void realm cultivators would be able to harm them. Ningfan pondered for a moment. Then he took out the cloaked puppet. Suddenly, he raised his hand and crushed it. With a flick of his sleeve, countless pieces of the puppet fell from the sky like meteors, crashing into the mountains and rivers of the chaotic devil star. A defensive grand formation that could defend against the attacks of mid-thought fragmentation realm cultivators gradually took shape on the star. Ningfan's action was actually to destroy the cloaked puppet that was at the mid-thought fragmentation realm. Then he tried to use the puppet's power as a foundation to set up a defensive grand formation on the chaotic devil star. To Ningfan, the cloaked puppet was already useless. However, it was very troublesome to use it. Only those who knew the Six Desires puppet technique could control it. Even if it was useless to Ningfan, he could not give it away to others. Therefore, he might as well use the puppet as a foundation to set up a grand formation. Rumble. How could the grand formation that was set up using the thought fragmentation realm puppet as a foundation be ordinary? It immediately triggered countless black devil lightning bolts in the sky above the entire chaotic devil star. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts filled the sky. Those lightning bolts even spread crazily to the starry sky outside the chaotic devil star, causing half of the star region to be drowned in lightning. What level of grand formation is this? Such terrifying power. Each of the cultivators who were recruited by Ningfan into the 1,000 Years sect were shocked by the power of this formation. In the chaotic devil star region, the cultivators on the other cultivation planets were also shocked when they saw the lightning bolts that swept across the starry sky. Even some of the powerful cultivators who passed by the chaotic devil star region were shocked by the power of this formation. A few old monsters from the Dujin sect were traveling together. They were passing by this place. Their destination was to head to a secret place nearby to look for a cave dwelling of an ancient shedding void ancient cultivator. All of a sudden, the devil lightning flooded the starry sky of the chaotic devil star region like a torrent. The few old monsters from the Dujin sect nearly fell from the starry sky when they were hit by the aura force. Naturally, they were extremely shocked. What a strong chi of a formation. There's actually someone who can set up such a terrifying formation in a mere low-grade star region. This formation is powerful enough to kill thought fragmentation realm cultivators. The few old monsters from the Dujin sect were shocked. How would they dare to stay in this place for a long time? An early shedding void ancient cultivator was riding on a flying sword with a few of his disciples and grand-disciples. Martial ancestor, I still can't understand the heavenly dipper sword chi that you imparted to me previously. I beg martial ancestor to demonstrate it again, one of the disciples begged. No, I can't. My cultivation base is too high. The killing intent of my sword chi is also too strong. This is just a low-grade star region. The cultivators here are generally too weak. If I were to display my sword chi here, I'm afraid I would kill everyone in this starry sky in an instant. It would be too harmful to the harmony of the heavens. Old monster Shikong shook his head and said, "Oh, by the way, I heard that there's a Rain Lord's Tao ground in this low-grade star region. I would like to go there and have a look." Another disciple begged. "Rain Lord's Tao ground? There's nothing to see there." That Rain Immortal Monarch might be considered a powerful figure among the younger generation. However, in the eyes of a shedding void ancient cultivator like me, he's just SOSO. Of course, his identity as the successor of the ancient chaos sect is not to be underestimated. Bang! As soon as old monster Shikong's voice fell, he was immediately hit by the power of the formation that was filled with the aura of thunder. He was immediately sent flying from the flying sword like a kite with a broken string. Although he was not injured, he was in a very sorry state. It took him a lot of effort to stabilize his body. His heart was filled with shock. What a powerful formation. Which senior actually set up such a powerful killing formation in a low-grade star region? Old monster Shikong was greatly shocked. He hurriedly brought his disciples and left the place. He was afraid that he would offend that senior if he continued to stay in this place. However, he did not know that the senior whom he regarded as a tiger and a wolf was actually Ning Fan, whom he did not put in his eyes. At this moment, outside the chaotic Devil Star region, there was a spirit boat madly rushing towards the chaotic Devil Star. A fat cultivator who looked like a mountain of flesh was sitting on the spirit boat. His cultivation base was at the mid-shedding void realm. On both sides of the cultivator who looked like a mountain of flesh stood 12 burly men who were guarding him. The weakest among them was at the life immortal realm. This cultivator who looked like a mountain of flesh had an arrogant expression on his face. At this moment, he was looking at a portrait in his hand proudly and asked the burly man beside him, "This person is currently on the chaotic Devil Star? Is the news true?" "There's no mistake. I've sent a spy and he personally saw this person driving the spirit boat to the chaotic Devil Star. A day ago, he took in all the cultivators on this star and proclaimed himself as the sect master of 1,000 years. The burly man said respectfully. The dignified Rain Immortal Monarch actually went to a low-grade star region to become the sect master. How interesting. I really don't understand why the Luo clan is desperately searching for such a person. The cultivator who looked like a mountain of flesh shook his head slightly. He was originally a famous devil cultivator in the Eastern Heaven. In order to avoid being hunted by his enemies, he joined the Battle King Luo clan a few years ago and became a foreign elder. He did not know much about the agreement between the Luo clan and Ning Fan. In recent years, it was not a secret in the Eastern Heaven that the Luo clan had been searching for the Rain Immortal Monarch everywhere. After the cultivator joined the Luo clan, he was also sent out to search for Ning Fan everywhere. However, he did not expect to find Ning Fan in the chaotic Devil Star region. "Master, should we follow the orders of the clan master of the Luo clan and invite the Rain Immortal Monarch back to the Luo clan with good food and drinks?" The burly man asked with a troubled expression. This time, the clan master of the Luo clan had specially prepared many Dao fruits and spiritual herbs for the cultivator who went on a mission. His original intention was to use these items as a greeting gift to express his goodwill to Ning Fan after the cultivator finds him. However, he did not expect the cultivator to be extremely gluttonous. Before he even met Ning Fan, he had already finished all the gifts. The burly man was also troubled. What should he give Ning Fan as a gift when he meets him? Invite him back? Ning Fan just has a good master. His cultivation base is not worth mentioning. Who do you think I am? Why should I lower myself to invite him back? When we arrive at the chaotic Devil Star, you guys can just kidnap him and bring him back. Don't worry. As long as we don't kill him, his half-dead master, the ancient Chaos Emperor, will not do anything to us. I have a lot of good friends in the Godly Void Pavilion. I have some insider news. I don't mind telling you guys. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, the remnant soul of the ancient Chaos Emperor is about to dissipate. He won't be able to live for long. If he can't find any good medicine, he will certainly die. This young man is already like a grasshopper at the end of autumn. He won't be able to jump around for long. Once the ancient Chaos Emperor dies, The dark race will certainly not let him go. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.